The weather forecast for today at Mid-Ohio is sketchy at best, potential for rain. But right now, as we get set to roll, it is dry. We'll see whether or not we go that way throughout the day. But again, 4 races on the docket, 2 coming up right now. Hi, folks. My name is Rob Howden, the voice of this USF Pro Championship, standing by here with Al Morey from J. Howard Driver Development. Al, it's been a good weekend for you. You're a rookie in the program. You're getting faster and faster, qualifying in the top 10. What are your thoughts on race number 1?
I think race number 1 went very good for me. You know, we started in 8th position, which is my best start on a road course throughout my career in a car. So I was very happy to start the day off like that and then bring it home in 9th. I was pretty happy. You know, our goal is always be in the top 10, so happy to have goals succeeded in the first race.
So how do you build on that, right? You were going into another race today, 2 of them today, 1 this morning, 1 this afternoon as well. What are your thoughts on trying to maybe get a little better?
Right, so I've got a lot of work to do coming into race 2. I didn't really have I had 1 really good qualifying lap, and then second race based off a second fastest qualifying lap, as we know, so I got to start 17th today, so I got a lot of work to come back to where I was yesterday. But I think given the car, given the circumstances, I love this place. I think I can hopefully make up some ground and replicate yesterday.
And we saw a bit of chaos yesterday. You got to expect some of that coming as well. Your focus likely is on trying to stay out of that.
Absolutely. You know, that 3-car pileup was about 4 feet in front of me, so I was hard on the brakes, like, whoa, got to stay out of that. You know, I never want to be involved in that, so trying to just finish all the races is always a big goal as well. So
I think everybody knows how qualifying is important here at Mid-Ohio, and again, as Al said, didn't get the second qualifying lap he needed, so he'll be deeper in the field. For you, though, you know you got a fast car. Is there anything you learned during the race yesterday that you can apply today?
Certainly, you know, with IndyCar rubber down, and there's more IndyCar rubber down today, learning how to deal with that's big. And the series I came from, we didn't really have a whole lot of rubber buildup like that, so still adapting to that. And learning off of yesterday, I think that'll be something important to look at coming into today.
Al's got quicker and quicker throughout the years. We head into the second half of this season. 2 races, as I said. We'll start with USF2000, then we'll go USF Pro 2000 back-to-back. So don't go anywhere. Stay through the entire show. We'll wrap up with the podium presentation from USF2000 and roll right into Pro. After this break, folks, we'll come back. Al will get in the race car, and I'll give you the full driver lineup for USF2000.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper and Duramaxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!
We're like any normal family. We just get shorter wait times because we buy and book online at discounttire.com.
So easy.
Which gives us more time for things like...
Come on, Mom.
It's ready.
Wow.
Are you sure it's ready?
Oh, it's ready. And it's all thanks to Kyle.
Thank you. Get 30% shorter average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com.
Let's get you taken care of.
It's your Uncle Cooper. If you and your truck are constantly tackling the regular duties of the day, go with a tire that can handle them all. Oh, man. I stepped in it. Go with the Coopers.
Discount Tire can change my tires and wiper blades at the same time.
We are at the USF2000 Championships as we're getting ready for race number 2 on the weekend. Alongside me is the spokesman for the series, longtime spokesman for the series, one of my good friends, Rob Howden. Rob, great to have you back in the booth.
John, great to be here again to start what should be a very intriguing day. We have lots of races in the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. Of course, we'll see IndyCar qualifying as well. Lots of great wheel-to-wheel action for you throughout the day. And indeed, as John had said, we're rolling in here right now with the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio. Drivers in this USF 2000 program now rolling out onto the racetrack, actually out onto pit lane now to get things underway. And again, we are still 3 to 4 minutes away from firing up these engines. Let's have a look at the grid as I have 23 drivers, 22 actually drivers getting set to roll out here right now. Starting on the outside of the final roll, Carson Eder, one of the drivers in our USF Juniors program, who's testing the waters here in USF 2000 this weekend at Mid-Ohio. Carson Eder in the number 57 for DC Autosport. He'll start 22nd. Alongside a driver we expect to watch work his way forward, it is Thomas Schrag in the number 90 for Exclusive Autosport, Ohio driver. His debut here in USF 2000. Significant experience in F1600 racing. Watch for Thomas in that number 90 to work his way forward. He did not get a chance to get a qualifying lap in, hence starting at the tail of the field. We'll go now to row number 10 on the outside out of Texas for Exclusive Autosport in the blue number 93 machine. That is Avery Towns. He'll start 20th. And alongside him, another one of our drivers coming in from USF Juniors, Brady Golan in the number 11 for D-Force Racing. Golan, the Texan, starting in 19th. Moving our way up now to row number 9 on the outside. It will be the number 19 of Gordon Scully out of Chicago, Illinois. Scully for VRD Racing in the number 19. And on the inside from Indianapolis, Indiana, Al Morey, who we had on the pre-show. Al for J. Howard Driver Development in the number 7, starting in the 17th spot. Move now up into row number 8. A couple of Maxes there. Maxwell Jameson on the outside. The Texan in the number 12 for D-Force Racing starting 16th. And on the inside, it's Max Taylor from Hoboken, New Jersey in the number 33 for VRD Racing. Taylor, another one of the front runners in the USF Juniors program, which is that entry-level program leading into the entire ladder of the USF Pro Championships. We'll work our way up to row number 7 now. Zach Ping in the number 97, starting on the outside, the VRD Racing driver in 14th, and on the inside, his debut weekend here, Logan Adams, a young Carter, working his way through the ranks. His debut here in USF 2000, looking for a full program next year from Plainfield, Indiana. Adams, the legendary Dismore family, starting in the 13th spot for J. Howard Driver Development in the number 9. Row 6 will have Danny Duchelski on the outside, the North Carolina driver, the 18 for VRD Racing. He'll start 12th. On the inside, keep an eye out for Chase Gardner, the Texan in the Exclusive Autosport, number 95, starting 11th, but ready to work his way forward. We'll get into the top 10 now. On the outside from Cornelius, North Carolina, winner this year already at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for VRD Racing. That's Sam Corey in the number 14. He'll start 10th. And on the inside from Mexico, George Garcia in the number 10 machine, starting 9th for D-Force Racing. Now up into the top 4 rows. 8th on the outside, Max Garcia out of South Florida in the Advanced Auto Parts Pabst Racing number 24, just 14 years of age. Max Garcia, definitely a driver to watch here in the future. He'll start alongside a guy who had a great run yesterday. It's got good speed all told. Ethan Ho out of California in the number 68 for DC Autosport. Another one of our USF Juniors drivers starting in the 6th position. In the 7th position. Row number 3 will have Jacob Douglas, the Kiwi, on the outside in the number 23. And on the inside, yesterday's winner, Ohio driver, Evagoras Papasavas, starting in 5th. Papasavas in the number 6 for J. Howard Driver Development. Row number 2 will have Lockie Hughes on the outside in the number 8 machine. Your point leader coming in, now 2nd place in points. Lockie Hughes out of Australia for J. Howard Driver Development in the number 8. And on the inside, the number 17, just 15 years of age, a winner at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg out of Gulfport, Florida for VRD Racing. The 17 is Nikita Johnson. 22 drivers in the field, 2 on the front row. Off pole at Milton, Ontario, Canada. Looking forward to going to his home race in a couple of weeks in Toronto. Matt Clark, the USF Juniors champion from last year, will start P2 on the outside of the front row for D-Force Racing. And the driver is now the point leader from Augusta, Georgia. A great run to 2nd place yesterday. The number 22 for Pabst Racing is Simon Sykes. 20 drivers in the field. It's time to fire them up, folks. Let's head down to pit lane. The command to start engines coming from one of our guests from Cooper Tires, Gordon Digby.
On behalf of Cooper Tires, drivers, start your engines.
And there you have it, John Phippen, 20 engines coming to life down on pit lane. All these engines built for us by Elite Engines, another Indianapolis 500 veteran. I mentioned Mark Dismer already, his grandson Logan Adams running, but Steve Knapp and his son Logan built all of these engines for both USF 2000 and the Pro category and USF Juniors. Everything comes out of their Wisconsin shop, and the power is even front to back.
That's great to see, and sorry to see about Elliot Cox not able to answer the bell. He won't be taking the start in this race. But looking forward to the front row. And by the way, to you and Matt Clark, happy Canada Day.
I appreciate that, yeah.
No worries. Rob, of course, from you still in Red Deer? Or you...
I'm actually in Cambridge, Ontario.
Okay, all right.
Just about 5.5 hours from here, actually.
Yeah.
Thankfully, because I had to drive down here after my flight got canceled. So always a lovely drive down through Detroit and then through, of course, Ohio into the track here. Looking forward to being back here again next weekend. I mentioned USF Juniors, John. We're back here next weekend with the NASCAR Truck Series event for the young drivers who are starting. We do have a driver having trouble getting rolling here right now. That is one of the VRD drivers, the 33 of Max Taylor. They're going to have to get that thing fired up. So an issue for him on pit lane right now. They'll get him fired up and get Max rolling. Again, Taylor scheduled to start in the 15th spot inside of row number 8. But here comes the drivers working their way up, John, into the keyhole.
For those of you joining us on the stream, my name's John Phippen alongside Rob Howden here in the booth. Let's introduce the other voices you'll be hearing on the race call as the cars leave my view and work their way up through the keyhole turn. They come into the view of Rusty Bell.
Good day to everybody watching our race upcoming. We do see that car finally making it out of the pit lane, so that's good news as he will be able to rejoin the back of the field. I'm in the stand on the back straightaway just past the kink here. The pace car and the cars just begin to roll by as they're trying to get a little heat, warm up these tires a bit. Catch them out of turn 1 through the keyhole and then down into that best passing area at the top end of the straightaway into turn 4.
And they come into the view there of Tom Michaels. Hey, Tom.
Hey, John, and hello, everybody. As we watch the cars just now very slowly coming into the right-hander at turn number 4. We'll watch them as they come between 4 and 5, a little bit uphill into the left-hander, up over a rise, and then down they go into the right-hander at turn number 6. Up through turn 7, which is kind of a gentle left-hander, turn 8. That gets them back into the back part of this race course.
That's where they get picked up by Steve Conley. Hey, Steve.
Hey, John. Hey, race fans. They're ready for this Discount Tire Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio as the field comes by me here in turn number 9, as we've talked about all weekend so far. A difficult place to pass, but you can do it. And we saw some passing in the middle to the back part of the field of this race yesterday. So we'll see how it goes here as they exit turn number 9, head down into the lowest part of this racetrack, Thunder Valley, and then climb back up the hill in front of a hill full of fans there in turn 10 and 11. Back into your view, John and Rob.
Thank you so much, Steve. And indeed, there's lining up 2 by 2. The pace car will duck on off here in a couple of seconds, and we will go racing for USF 2000 back-to-back with USF Pro getting ready to roll after this. Again, these drivers rolling out here for what will be a 20-lap race, a 40-minute window out of the final corner. And we are green, green, green as Sykes gets the jump. To the outside will be Matt Clark, Kenny Hold as they work their way to the Cooper Tire Bridge. They'll come through turn number 1. Clark trying to hold that spot, but better for him even to just be able to tuck in. Seeing if those drivers get through cleanly. No, we see a yellow flag there, so one driver's already off. The flag was flying as they came through turn number 1. So a couple of drivers, maybe a trio of drivers off down into turn number 1 as everybody else clean and green coming up through turn number 2. Simon Sykes, the 22, getting that lead, expecting to go full course yellow if those drivers are stranded. But Rusty, here they come to you right now. Sykes is your leader.
Coming down the straightaway, we've got the 18 across track, but I've got the 9 buried right now. Logan Adams buried in the gravel. He's not going to be able to rejoin.
We had a big scramble there for second, third, fourth. Right now, up into that second place position is Matt Clark, but he is going to be challenged as they work their way through turn number 6. Side by side they go all the way back through 6.
And that side-by-side battle for about that 5th position is between the 6 of Evagoras Papasavas, yesterday's winner. So it'll be fun to watch him come back up through the front of the field, see if he can get to Sykes. We've got a red flag on the course, and looks like a full course yellow.
Indeed, yeah, full course yellow coming out for the driver stranded off in turn number 1. And normally when we do that, something happens. We do kind of give them a majority of the lap if they can to kind of get things sorted out, give them a chance to make some overtakes. Simon Sykes comes across as the leader. Second place right now, Matt Clark in the third spot. Lockie Hughes, he goes up a position. Papasavas down to fourth. Johnson now fifth. Nikita Johnson, who went off the track yesterday all the way back to dead last.
18th.
And then fought himself back up into a top 5 run. Great job for Nikita Johnson. Max Garcia made a pass on Jacob Douglas there, heading through Madness over to turn number 9. Was able to get to the inside. Garcia up into 6th, the driver out of Coconut Grove, Florida, just 14 years of age. Jacob Douglas, the Kiwi, in the 7th spot. Ethan Ho in 8th. Sam Corey in 9th. And Chase Gardner up a spot. Drivers involved in the incident, we believe, was Adams. We said that before. Logan Adams off the racetrack. We'll see whether or not we'll get him drugged back out in time. But a tough one for Logan, who was really just looking, after a solid run yesterday, John was just looking for another clean race. But you never know what happens when those drivers get rolling through turn number 1.
Yeah, exactly right. They went through kind of 3 wide. Rusty, you can give us a replay of that, I think.
Yeah, the couple of drivers came together in the middle of turn 1. That was Max Taylor involved in that. Danny Duchelski is the one that stalled the car, got it running right before the pace car popped out, and we did change this from a red flag to a full course yellow, so we are now under a pace car control, but we do still have that 9 of Logan Adams hooked up right now to the truck, and they're going to try to pull him out of the gravel trap and get him back underway.
That's what we want. We want to get him back on the track. And, John, I'll just say this. One of the great things about running with IndyCar as we do, the access we have to the AMR IndyCar safety team. We actually have 3 of those individuals that join us at our USF Juniors races as well to kind of quarterback our safety efforts and cleanup efforts. And that's one of the things about this, right? You know that they're going to be on the job so quickly. They get us back to green flag racing, get those cars out. They are professionals. And, again, just part of what we have is amazing to be able to have those guys connected. Rusty, let's get back to you. You got an update for us?
Well, we've got the 9 car rolling. He is out of the gravel trap into the grass right now. Hopefully get him restarted. But I also noticed, I believe that's Max Taylor, who did not make it back around. He was involved in this, got himself out of the gravel, but he stopped at the entry to the keyhole, and we're backing a wrecker up to him. So I think they're going to need, he had enough damage, they're going to have to lift that car, probably take it through that track cut that we have up there outside the keyhole turn, and I think his race is going to be done.
Yeah, indeed. You nailed it. We've got a good shot of that right now as they are working on the car of Max Taylor. You guarantee you had the contact there. Remember, Taylor had the issue at the start, wasn't able to get rolling. You wonder whether or not maybe something happened heading down into turn number 1, but the bottom line is he was able to get rolling again. Every driver's going to try. I'm going to try to bring it back to pit lane, and likely just drove up the hill into the keyhole and realized that the damage was terminal. We do have a couple of guys coming into pit lane as well here, John. Front wing damage for the number 19, Duchelski, the North Carolina driver, rolling in, as is the 18 coming in. That's Duchelski, and the 19 is actually Ping, I believe. So, no, that's Scully. So Scully in as well. So a couple of the VRD drivers, that crew going to have to go to work down on pit lane. I think maybe even a front wing for both those drivers.
Yeah, they had trouble getting Max Taylor away from the line, so it's going to be a busy morning here for the VRD crew.
And remember, we're back at it this afternoon. Back-to-back races, like I said this morning, USF2000. Then we'll finish up our podium presentation and head right into USF Pro. Those drivers will be up next, the top rung of this USF Pro Championship. So then this afternoon, we wrap it all up at the end of the day, going back-to-back again. We'll wrap up our time here at this Mid-Ohio event today. We won't be on track tomorrow, so the drivers will start looking forward to the street circuit race in Toronto in just a couple of weeks' time, another great Green Savory event. So, again, Simon Sykes getting the lead. There's the car of Taylor getting hauled away. So Sykes, Clark, Hughes, Papasavas, and Johnson, top 5. Garcia, Douglas, Ho, Corey, and Gardner, the top 10. Ping runs 11th. Garcias in 12th. Schrag up to, Schrag, excellent job for Thomas Schrag up into 13th. Remember, started all the way at the tail of the field in 21st. So not only does he get some attrition, drivers getting together, but he's able to stay out of the way. He goes to 13th. Very similar to what he did yesterday, John, starting from the tail of the field and leveraging an early yellow to work his way up into essentially the top 15.
Yeah, exactly right. So Thomas Schrag, again, making his debut with the series here this weekend, as is Carson Etter, Brady Golan, and Logan Adams, all making their first starts with the series, coming up from the junior series.
And we get that, John, right? In a program like this, I don't care which one it is. Everybody's kind of thinking about, midway through the season, maybe I'll test the waters of where I want to be next year. Get a chance to do a couple of one-offs here and there. That way, when you roll into the off-season testing, you've already had a couple of races under your belt. You're still finishing off the program you're in, but you're kind of testing things to be ready for 2024. And we're all pretty excited about 2024. We're looking to have banner grids next year. And again, of course, USF Juniors, excited to see that program continue to grow. That juniors program actually uses a very similar race car to what we use in USF 2000, just a couple of different components, and then as well a restrictor on the engine. Looks like we're going to go one more time around here, John, as they're coming through the carousel here now. Pace car stays out, so one more lap here under yellow.
Yeah, exactly. It looked like they were able to clear Max Taylor's car pretty quickly up there at the keyholes. They went out what we call the back door. There's a break in the action there that they can get the cars off the racing surface more quickly rather than have to come all the way back around. But apparently we're just waiting as getting our AMR safety trucks restaged. The truck that's normally at turn 11 just now backing into his position. So it took just a little longer to get that done, as we've got another car coming into the pits right behind one of the AMR safety vehicles.
Yeah, I think it's Gordon Scully back in again in the number 19, maybe just getting one more adjustment to the car. They'll bring him in here.
He's got a new nose already on the car, so they're coming in and going to make one more tweak. He has nothing to lose. He can, catch up to the back of the pack.
That's it. Yep.
So
they got him back out obviously quick enough. He was able to get back to the tail of the pack, jump back in here. He'll have to get on his giddy up though when he gets back out here, because I believe we're going to go green this next time by. Drivers involved, as we said, Taylor, Jachelski, and Logan Adams. Adams and Jachelski back out on the racetrack as he rockets by us here at start finish. So again, the tail of the field lining things back up, and when we get back around, Simon Sykes will see what he can do to defend from Matt Clark. Interesting, you look at right now the top five, and only driver in the top five without a victory. They all have a win. You got to go back to Garcia right now. Sykes with a couple of wins already. Matt Clark's looking for his first road course win of the year. Was able to win last year in a one-off event at the season finale at Portland after winning the USF Juniors Championship. Came up and ran USF 2000 and won in Portland at the finale. But he won the Oval at IRP this year, the Freedom 75. So looking for that first road course win, but for Clark, winning on the Oval, I think that's a nice little check mark on the resume.
Also known as Lucas Oil Raceway, to be fair. And he won from the pole, actually, in that race. So Matt Clark, who's a road course specialist, obviously, has no problem doing well on the Oval as well. That's the only Oval you guys run?
That's the only one we run this year, yeah. We're looking to add another one next year. We'll see how it plays out. But you mentioned Lucas Oil, Indianapolis Raceway Park. The name has changed, I think, over the 13 years we've been going there for the last little while. It keeps moving around. Back to IRP, which I love. And again, great to be at that 5/8 mile Oval. What a great race it always is. At IRP. Drivers getting set to go, and again, we're working our way out of the carousel. A single file restart. We'll put lap 4 in the book, so still 16 to go. And we're back underway, green flag flying. And actually, the challenge is going to come from Lockie Hughes. He's going to look to the inside of Clark coming through, and Thies through into turn number 1. Lockie Hughes goes to the inside. He takes the spot, but can Clark come back and get him as they work their way up to the keyhole? Sykes, the benefactor of that, he's going to run on a nice wide line. Otherwise, we are racing hard. As to the inside, or the outside rather, comes Papa Savas. He's trying to make a move around the outside. I think he got that to stick, John.
Yeah, it sure looks like it, as they're still side by side as the two Jay Howard drivers coming into view of Rusty Bell.
Down in front of me, Papasavas making that wide, going around the outside at the entry to the keyhole turn, and both got around Matt Clark.
Yeah, the good battle right now for second place, side by side, as they work their way up through 5. Continue to lead, Simon Sykes, the 8 car up there into second, Lockie Hughes. And now the battle, losing ground now, is Papasavas, as he is passed by Matt Clark.
And Simon Sykes has opened up by about 10 car lengths. That battle for third is third, fourth, fifth, sixth, all the way back through the field, single file, and about a half a car length between all of them.
Yeah, Papasavas had to check up a little bit coming down through turn number 4 at the end of the long back straightaway behind his teammate. That allowed Clark to kind of run over the outside of turn number 5 and get that move down to the apex of turn 6. A really strong run there for him. This is allowing Sykes to pull away, though. Lockie Hughes, that's first and second in points, first and second on the racetrack. Clark runs in the third spot. Papasavas and Johnson, 4th and 5th. Garcia, 6th. Sam Corey Prix, the VRD number 14, carrying the flag for that team. He and Johnson, they've worked their way now up into 7th for Corey. Douglas runs in 8th. Gardner up to 9th now, and Ethan Ho running in the 10th position. We talked about it yesterday, John. The first couple laps after the restart gets a little bit hectic. Finally, things start to settle in. We're getting close, although we have some battling outside the top 10 going side by side right there as well. Look at that little jink to the side. 3 wide as they come out of the keyhole. So a little bit of action in front of you, Rusty.
Watching it here in front of me, 4 cars together, but we're keeping an eye on Nikita Johnson. Was quick at the end of the race yesterday, looking for him to move up.
We watch as they come by. No change there at the front. Biggest battle right now between the 95, Chase Gardner, and Ethan Ho. That's a battle for 10th place.
And looking for that battle as the top 10 have pretty much single-filed out. Plenty of space between all of them. The 14 goes by as that is Sam Corey continuing to make his way up through the field right behind Max Garcia and Papasavas.
Yeah, Chase Gardner in that bright black and yellow machine was getting attacked there by Ethan Ho, but now it's Zach Ping in the 97 coming up to kind of make Ho think more about what's behind him and not what's in front of him. So that's going to help Gardner a little bit as he tries to chase down Jacob Douglas. Sykes now leading by 2.7 seconds, so a solid lead for the driver out of Augusta, Georgia. And we'll take the opportunity, John, here to talk a little about Simon Sykes. Here's a guy who has won a couple of SCCA runoff national championships, does not have the budget that he needs to go all the way up the ladder. He's been kind of piecemealing together rides over the last couple of years. Ran with Legacy Autosport over the past couple of seasons, but never put in a full season, although he's always been really strong here at Mid-Ohio. Getting this opportunity to run with the juggernaut that is Pabst Racing. Really the best opportunity of his career, and he said it in one of our most recent mini documentaries. If you go to our app or on the YouTube channel, you can see The Climb, which is our mini doc brought to you by Discount Tire. And he said, if I don't win this year, I'm thinking about another career, because really this is it. He needs to get the scholarship to be able to move on. He's trying to win a championship for Pabst Racing. Simon Sykes with that second place yesterday takes over the point lead, but man, he needs this championship or he's done, right?
Yeah, it looks like Chase Gardner has solidified his hold on 11th spot, or 9th spot, excuse me. But Garcia Arce all over the back of Ethan Ho for that 10th position.
Yeah, I said before that it was Ping, but it's actually Garcia Arce, the Mexican for D-Force Racing, who's been able to get by Ping as well, and so did Al Maury. He's been up into the 12th spot as well. Maury, who had a top 10 run yesterday, he's on the move as well, having started back in the 17th position. So he is up 5 spots. Good run for Al Maury right now. But that'll be the battle we watch. He's trying to come up, but Garcia Arce in that number 10, John, you picked it up. He's starting to put the pressure on Ethan Ho. Ho's got to look behind him, and that's allowed Chase Gardner to put the target on the back of Jacob Douglas. Last time, he was 0.2 quicker. The gap between Douglas and Gardner now just 0.3 of a second. Watch for that battle to start to heat up.
Duchelski also in recovery mode. Remember, he was caught up in that 3-car battle into the gravel trap on the first lap. He's worked his way back up into 16th position, so watch the number 18.
We're excited to, of course, see the drivers here in the USF Juniors program coming up to test the waters here in USF2000. They've been doing a great job so far. As they work their way back to Tom into the turn 4, 5, 6 combination, Sykes with a pretty solid lead.
Yep, he's got a very solid lead. The battle right now for 3rd place. Holding on to the position right now, Matt Clark. Papasavas right behind him. And he looks at his mirrors and sees Johnson, Nikita Johnson there in 5th.
And that battle here in turn 9 between 3rd, 4th, 5th of Matt Clark, Papasavas, and Nikita Johnson. They're down through Thunder Valley, nothing doing, as there's about a car length between each of them as they head back up towards the carousel.
Papasavas right on the back of Clark as they got down into turn number 4, but Matt Clark able to eke out maybe a 2 or 3 car length advantage in the twisty bits here, and now he's a little more solidly in that 3rd spot. He's got his sights set forward now on Lockie Hughes, who came into this weekend, as you said, as the point leader.
He's falling back a little bit right now, and with Sykes where he's running now, could extend that point lead a little bit more. And of course, another race coming this afternoon. You always want to be good here at these triple header weekends. You want to get out of the gate strong. Sykes second yesterday, a win today would of course set up for another one maybe this afternoon. But I think the cool thing to watch right now is we're seeing this aggression coming out of Papasavas and Nikita Johnson. Both these young drivers now with 1 win. Papasavas getting that one yesterday, getting number 1, the pressure's off. He's won the first victory. He needed that, but now he's got the confidence as well. And so, of course, did Nikita Johnson. He knew he had one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. Got driven off in turn, I think, 4 on the opening lap. Stormed his way back forward and passed about 13 cars to get himself back up into a top 5 finish. So So both those drivers coming into this one, John, with the understanding that they got good speed. Now, Johnson's all over the gearbox, Steve, as he comes back over to you. That's a great fight right now for P5.
And that battle goes side by side, jumping to the inside, taking a look. He's got it. They'll bang wheels off of turn number 9, heading down through turn 10, and Johnson will move up a spot.
Wow, great pickup there, Steve. And Johnson is on it. I talked about this young 15-year-old. We never really have to worry about the aggression of him. He will get into it, get in the scrap, elbows up. But we've seen some more maturity out of the young 15-year-old. He knows he's in the championship battle. He knows that he's got a future in front of him. He just needs to run good laps. I'm really impressed by what Nikita Johnson's been doing here. A strong run there. And listen, John, you've called a lot of races here. Turn number 9 is not an easy place to make a pass.
Oh, no, it is not. But you do see it occasionally, and Johnson took advantage of it. I think he might have caught Papasavas napping just a little bit. Garcia appears to be on the move as well, as he's right on the back of Papasavas, trying to move his way up into that top 5.
One of the cool things here as well, we have 4 different teams in the top 4 right now. Paps with Sykes, Jay Howard Driver Development for Hughes, D-Force Racing for Clark, VRD Racing for Johnson. And a lot of the young drivers will come in and say, hey, Rob, which team do I need to be with? I say, just look at the results.
Yeah.
Because anybody can win. Anybody can be on the podium. We have such great operations in this program, all of them professionals, all of them great, obviously, driver development and coaching programs. And again, that's why we see the teams up front, because everybody in this program can win.
Garcia and Ho having one of the best battles. That's the one for 10th.
Sykes lead 4.7 seconds last time by. The gap battle we're watching there continuing now for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th as Clark has closed back up on Lockie Hughes. But I don't know that Nikita Johnson, John, wouldn't be the driver to watch right now. He's on the move. Watch for him to try to get after Clark here pretty soon.
Yeah, no question. It looks like he's put a little distance between himself and Garcia. So Nikita Johnson putting the pressure on the third-place runner. They come onto the front straightaway. Simon Sykes is in another zip code.
Exactly.
He is long gone.
Down into turn number 1. He has gone by 5.7 seconds. I'm sure that they'll be on the radio telling him just to calm down right now. Yep. Hold on to your spot. We don't need to burn up these tires just in case something were to happen. Just so you guys know, we're at the halfway point now. 10 laps down, 10 to go for a 20-lap distance. Sykes, Hughes, Clark, Johnson, and Papasavas are your top 5. Garcia back by about 0.3 of a second. He's ready to come into the fight as well, the young 14-year-old in that black number 24. Sam Corey runs in 7th. Jacob Douglas, Chase Gardner, and Ethan Ho remain the drivers in the top 10, but George Garcia in the 10 for D-Force continues to put the pressure on Ethan Ho for 10th as they work their way back in front of Tom Michaels.
Well, already by us is Simon Sykes in that great battle, and it goes all the way back then to 6th place right now. You've got Hughes, Clark, Johnson, Papasavas, and Garcia.
And that battle just now entering turn number 9 as Sykes is all the way up to turn 11. It's about a car length between that battle for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And last time by, we had several cars jump that yellow curbing here at the exit of turn 9, get 4 wheels off into the dirt. So it's been a struggle over here on this end of the racetrack.
And listen, the cars get light there coming through, John. We know that, right? Yep. They're really trying to rotate the car to get back on the throttle early. It's down into Thunder Valley. You want to get back on the power. And it doesn't take much for the car to skate out a little bit onto the rumbles on the outside of turn number 9. That is for sure. 6.4 seconds the lead for Simon Sykes. Last time by, he was about 0.8 of a second quicker than Hughes. And I'll tell you why. Because Lockie Hughes has got his mirrors full right now with Matt Clark.
Yeah, Matt Clark looking very, very racy as they make it up into the carousel turn. But he's got to watch his mirrors as well, as young Nikita Johnson is right there with him. That's a great 3-way battle for 2nd spot. And just behind them, Papasavas holding his own with Garcia keeping touch with him. And we've been following the battle between Ho and Garcia for 10th. Rusty?
Yeah, here comes a challenge. Johnson on the outside, Tom.
And they touch wheels off the track. Goes the number 17 car. Nikita Johnson pulls it back on. But there's a change there as Nikita Johnson falls well back in the serial.
And that battle for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th right now has opened up spacing between each of those drivers. Matt Clark has a little bit more space this time as he heads up the hill out of Thunder Valley, but stays single file.
As they say, folks, Nikita Johnson certainly sent it down into turn number 4. Tried to run the outside on Matt Clark. Little touch there. And listen, when you're running that outside line and you're not quite around the driver there, you're really running on the ragged edge. It does not take much when you're out there. Even a little bit of contact is going to send you off. But props to Nikita for being able to control the car when it got into the grass. He brought it back onto the racetrack in a safe manner to the inside. Got a couple of drivers streaming by, though, at that point. Papasavas, Garcia, Corey all getting by. Let's have a look at what happened there down in to turn number 4. We'll have a replay for you here. Johnson obviously getting aggressive, as we know. There he is on the outside of Clark. They come down into turn number 4. He's almost around, and just a little bit of a touch there, I think, left front to right rear, but maybe not even that. Maybe even to the – it might have been – side by side to a certain extent, just a light touch there.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, when you're at the absolute edge of adhesion, all it takes is that little nudge, and you break traction. That's what we saw. And for Nikita, you watched him. He also actually had to kind of get the wheel straightened back up again. Instead of spinning out, he realized where he was. So good situational awareness for a young 15-year-old that can't even drive on the street yet.
Exactly. Yeah, his mom has to bring him to the track because he can't drive his own car.
Matt Clark closing in on the back of Lockie Hughes right now. That battle is about a half a car length between those two, and then another 5 back to Papasavas.
One quick thing to pick up as well, Chase Gardner, the 95 for Exclusive Autosport, chipping away. I've been watching there the gap, about a tenth of a second a lap. He's got it down to a half a second right now. No, less than a half a second. Last time by, he was a tenth quicker. They'll come by again, and we'll pick it up here as he is trying to close up. Again, that is the battle. It would be the battle for 8th and 9th, a 23 flat for both of those drivers. So that gap just over 0.4 of a second. Gardner running 9th, Douglas in 8th spot. Up the road from them about a second is Johnson. Everybody else kind of lining up. You see them as they work their way through the keyhole now. Lockie Hughes has done everything he possibly can to hold off Matt Clark. And, of course, Clark coming in, I believe, 3rd spot in the points right now after another strong run. At that point, what goes on in your head? Do I take a 3rd? Do I throw it in there to try to get 2nd? He's trying to win a championship. Of course, he goes to his home race next week in Toronto as well. And he looks to the inside of turn number 4. Not quite enough, Tom.
Nope, can't get it done right now. Matt Clark is following in the wheel tracks of Lockie Hughes. Off of turn 6 they go. Carlick separating 2nd and 3rd. And we've got a car off into the sand trap. And it is pointed counter race, and I think that car is stuck. And we're going to have to go to a full course yellow.
Yeah, guys, I think they're saying potentially the number 97 of Zach Ping is off the racetrack. And indeed, full course yellow. I talked about that 6-point-something gap for Sykes. It was 7.6 last time. Bye, John. Say goodbye to that.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
So Sykes' massive lead. That's why when you get a lead like that, you back off and hold the tires a little bit as we are full course yellow. We have 6 laps to go. We'll put 14 in the books this time by. And again, a driver off in China Beach, we believe, the AMR safety crew heading. We can't see it, so he could be well off right now as well. So we'll find out who that is. They come back around. I believe it's going to be Zach Ping as he falls down the order.
And Rusty, you've got another car off?
Yeah, I've got the number 9 off here. Made contact with the inside wall. Actually, for this weekend, I'll call it the Ray Hall maneuver, where he hit the curbing on the outside, and the car spun back across and hit the tire wall on the inside enough to knock the rear wing off the car.
Right. There you go.
So that's that number 9 machine that ended up sitting counter race in the grass up against the wall. He's out of the car and fine, but the car is damaged.
We're going to have a look at it here, folks. We got a shot at it here with the camera. We'll pick up what happened here. Zach Ping in the 97. We know he was involved. Watch them coming down into the corner here, a little deeper down. Yeah, watch those two drivers to the inside. They're going to battle and sit their way down here. There's contact. Yeah, little touch there, and Ping is going to go straight off, and then he gets into the dirt as well. Luckily for him, the car didn't go over as he bit just like Simon Pagino's car did. Might have been battling it out there with Logan Adams in the number 9, but a bit of a touch. That was kind of aggressive. They were kind of pinching each other down to the bottom of the racetrack over in turn number 4. But, again, the AMR IndyCar safety crew is there to try to get things back underway to see whether or not we can't bang out a couple of more green flag laps. They'll put lap 15 in the books when they come back around. And, again, Zach Ping, the number 97, falling out where he was. That's going to move Thomas Schrag up into 13th, and Chelsky into 14th, and Avery Towns now into the 15th spot. Top 10 sees Sykes leading, Hughes, Clark, Papasavas, and now Garcia up into the 5th spot after that issue with Johnson. Sam Corey now runs 6th, Nikita Johnson 7th, Jacob Douglas in 8th, Chase Gardner 9th, and George Garcia is finally able to get by Ethan Ho. That was some relentless pressure through the middle part of that race. He was able to slip by, so move Garcia now up into 10th.
Yeah, he made that pass just before the incident with Zach Ping. Happened right behind them, so that's the move for the Mexican. Garcia able to get up into the 10th spot. Ethan Ho 11th, Al Mori in the 12th spot. Schrag continues to work his way forward. Duchelski in the 14th spot, and Avery Towns rounds out the top 15.
Yeah, really good experience for Thomas Schrag, the Ohio driver with, as I said, quite a bit of F1600 experience, putting together a program to come with exclusive Autosport here, that number 90 machine. For him, it's all about just getting experience, right? The laps, he's not obviously not in the championship. It's a debut here. He's just trying to see, just get some laps in, get a feel for it, get a feel for the competition, the series itself. He was very good in testing on Thursday, which is sad, the fact that he wasn't able to kind of get a qualifying lap. They had an issue with the electronics on the car. He wasn't able to get it fired, and then not able to actually get out to qualify at all. So starting at the tail of the field for all his races. Tough one for him for sure. But again, he's worked his way forward. He was a top 15 runner yesterday, and he'll get himself up here into 13th now with a chance to restart. Both he and Al Morey, who started back in the 17th spot, potentially able to go after Ethan Ho and Garcia says as well. So drivers working their way back around. Look at it. That's actually Ping pulling away in the number 97 after that incident. We saw him almost bite into the gravel coming through turn number 4 into China Beach, but able to pull away. So shout out to the builders of the Tatis chassis back in Italy, because that thing fantastic. He's able to pull away and will likely come back to pit lane.
Yeah, Tom, the safety crew deposited him on the racetrack, and he was able to drive away. That's not good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And so he is away. And here comes the field once again.
And that 97, Zach Ping, as he just came by me, that left front tire is not on the ground as he is heading back up through Thunder Valley.
Yeah, suspension damage for sure for that machine. You can see it's not even moving there. So Zach Ping will bring up at least back to pit lane. They'll be able to assess it and get him back into the paddock. Because remember, we're back at it again this afternoon. Another race for these drivers here. The green flag scheduled to go for race number 3 of this triple header weekend right around 4:30 this afternoon. We have that race at 4:30, and then we'll follow it up with the USF Pro drivers as well. So lots more racing in this USF Pro Championships. If you're a fan who's been coming to Mid-Ohio for many years, you'll remember this as the Road to Indy Series presented by Cooper Tires. We renamed it in the offseason, the USF Pro Championships, and still has USF 2000, still has the USF Pro 2000, which has been Indy Pro 2000 over the last couple of years. And then we added in our USF Juniors program last year, the essentially entry level of drivers coming out of the Skip Barber Racing School, which is the official racing school of the USF Pro Championships. From there, through karting, into the USF Juniors program. So we're going green this time by, folks, because the pace car back on it. We got it here. We'll put lap 16 in the books. Could be a 4-lap dash. Simon Sykes back on the loud pedal. Green flag flying at start finish. And Lockie Hughes will look to attack. Same goes for further back right now as Papa Savas getting attacked by Max Garcia. He's got life breathed into his program as well. Can Garcia potentially get himself onto the podium? That yellow flag allowing him to close back up to the front-running quintet. Sykes, though, having to block down to the inside. Oh, big contact, and over he goes. Lockie Hughes has made contact, and he is barrel-rolled into turn number 2. He tried to go to the inside. Sykes covered off the bottom, and he got up on top of the curbing. Full course caution. I got to say, this will probably wrap this one here up as Sykes is barrel-rolled in turn number 2.
Yeah, Lockie Hughes going
probably Lockie Hughes is barreled, not Sykes.
Exactly. He was trying to make a pass on Sykes, got inside and touched wheels as so happened. It climbed right up over the rear wheel of Simon Sykes' car, and that put him into a roll.
Simon Sykes has no rear wing on the car right now, and when the yellow came out, I believe that Matt Clark has gone to P1. So Clark has moved in front of Sykes. The rear wing gone on the car of Sykes as Lockie went to the inside. As I said, Sykes covered off the inside, and the contact was made. We'll definitely have a look at the replay for you here in a bit, but we'll kind of let things settle in right now as the AMR IndyCar safety crew getting out to Lockie Hughes. Again, we saw a nasty wreck for Simon Pagenaud in turn number 4. We're going to make sure everything is fine with Lockie Hughes. And again, one of the things about these cars, folks, and this just happened in 2022, but as you'll see, those of you who have been fans of this program, we didn't have a halo. Obviously, it's one of the things. It was an open cockpit car and has been for 20-plus years in USF 2000. It started all the way back in the early 1990s. We added the halo on the car in 2022, and it has already proven itself time and time again. For instance, that we've had guys over top of each other. We had one happen in Indianapolis, and again, we saw what the aero screen did for Simon Pagenaud, and John, the same thing with the halo here for USF 2000. That definitely will be able to protect Lockie Hughes into turn number 2.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great investment in safety, and I'm glad to see that it's okay. You can see Simon Sykes' wing laying in the gravel trap there as Lockie Hughes climbed right over the back of that car and knocked the wing off of it.
So, folks, being told right now that Lockie Hughes is out of the race car, so that is fantastic news. And again, I already gave one shout-out to Tatis that builds our chassis. They build such a fantastic junior Formula race car, and we, we talked a lot about bringing that halo in, and it has, again, like I said, it has been something that has stepped up on several occasions to take care of our drivers, to protect them. Here is the replay, folks. We're going to have a look at this. You'll watch Simon Sykes up in the lead. You'll see Lockie Hughes kind of make his move to the inside. He goes to the inside, down comes Sykes a little bit. He climbs right up over top of the curbing, and essentially coming up over the curbing at that speed, launches the car up into the air, and then, of course, helped over. You can see the end of it here as he essentially climbs right over top of Simon Sykes. Clark able to go to the inside. Sykes loses the rear wing, and again, upside down is where he comes to a rest for Lockie Hughes to see him get out of the car. Man, feeling good now. I had some goosebumps. I didn't like that.
Yeah, that's two barrel rolls already today with Simon Pagenaud, a dramatic one when he lost the brakes on that car coming down into turn 4 at the highest speed point of the racetrack. And this one just wrong place, wrong time. I don't think Sykes was aware that Hughes was coming to him on the inside, so he pinched it off just a little bit. Hughes had nowhere to go but up on the curb, and that's what started the car on its roll, and he took the wing off the back of Sykes' car on the way to the gravel track.
And literally just rode up the back of the car. We saw that up and over, and then, of course, into the gravel. As it resets, Clark is your leader. Sykes second, Papasavas in third, Garcia fourth, Corey fifth. Johnson runs sixth. Chase Gardner able to get by Jacob Douglas. So Gardner up into seventh, Douglas eighth, Garcia ninth, and Ethan Ho in that 10th spot. So Clark is your leader. They'll put lap number 18 in the books this next time by. I don't know that we're going to be able to go back to green flag racing. We'd have to go green next time. Obviously, we'll put lap number 19 in the books. So as it stands, Matt Clark looking at his first road course win of the year. Sykes, I think, will be lucky if we don't go back to green. With no rear wing, he's going to get swallowed up.
Oh, sure, yeah.
In these tough corners where, again, these longer duration corners, the keyhole, the carousel, these cars rely on the balance of the front and the rear wing. When you lose the rear wing, all of a sudden the car is going to lose the rear coming through, especially the downhill keyhole.
Sure.
He'd be a sitting duck heading down into turn number 4. So Sykes will be hoping this thing goes yellow the whole time, and I just don't know that we're going to be able to go green this next time by. Yellow flag still flying, and indeed I would expect to see the AMR safety crew still trying to get that car out in turn number 2.
Rusty, you've got a view of that?
Yeah, they are taking it out the gate right now. As you mentioned, John, the back door was already up on the hook. They're taking it out the back door, and the safety team is restaging. So it's going to be green here the next time the pace car goes by the start-finish if they decide they want to start this. But we are clear out here in the keyhole turn.
So you think about the championship implications of this right now, John. Obviously, Lockie Hughes second place in points. If it goes yellow, Simon Sykes is going to get a big gap on him because Lockie Hughes is finishing down in the 19th spot. But if we go back to green, all of a sudden they're going to be attacking like crazy, and Simon Sykes is going to have the elbows up in that number 22 Pabst Racing Machine. So not sure what we're going to do. I have not got a call yet in terms of a text from a race control to see whether or not we are going to go back to green. But around the course, our guys are telling us that it looks like the lights are out of the pace car, so we may be going back to green flag racing. This is going to be exciting because I'll tell you this, Matt Clark's going to be able to get away cleanly because you know that Sykes is not going to be able to roll that much corner speed through turn number 1, not having the wing. I guarantee he's working on the brake bias right now to get that thing to rotate a little bit more. This is going to be an interesting run here. So, again, your Papasavas, your Corey, your Garcia, you're seeing a podium. You're seeing a chance to go to P2 here in a big way because Papasavas on the gearbox of Sykes, he knows exactly what's happening, John. You're in trouble. You got no rear wing. I'm going to attack. Lights are out, folks. It's time to go racing. It's the second event of this triple header, the Discount Tire Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, the USF2000, presented by Cooper Tires program. And Matt Clark looking to close up big time in the championship as he is third coming in. Will he get a race win? Pace car has gone on off. Thank you to the AMR safety crew. And we are getting ready to race. Simon Sykes comes into pit lane.
Yeah, I think he realizes he has no chance. So into the pit lane he comes. And Matt Clark gets a big jump over Papasavas, who's looking for his second podium in a row here.
Yeah, so here we go, folks. The battle here on the final circuit. They'll work their way to turn number 1, down into the keyhole. Matt Clark looking for that victory, winning on the oval. He's got a pretty solid gap, pretty aggressive further back. Papa Sava sliding into that second position. Sam Corey potentially up into third for VRD Racing. Here's your final circuit as they work their way out of the keyhole. Everybody ready to attack. Back there you see Garcia Arce looking at Gardner as well, because there's going to be some fighting there as Douglas was able to go back to 6th. Big run down into turn number 4, and there's a move to the inside potentially as Papa Savas has closed right up on Matt Clark. So the work not done yet for the young Canadian here on Canada Day. Can he win for D-Force Racing? He'll cover off the bottom a little bit, heading down to turn number 6.
I've got cars into the tire barrier
We've
down
got
here.
contact down in turn number 4, 5. What do you got there, Tom? Indeed,
we got a couple of cars into the tire barrier here just down below us that have come together in the back of the field.
So contact further back in the field. We'll keep our eyes on the leaders here right now because we are rolling in here on the final circuit. Papa Savas is all over Clark. Clark going to stay to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to stack things up behind as well. A little bit of bump and run further back. Clark coming out of the final couple of corners. And on Canada Day, the Canadian wins at Mid-Ohio. Matt Clark winning by just 0.6 of a second over Papa Savas. Second yesterday for the Ohio driver, rather a win yesterday, second today for Papa Savas. And Sam Corey started 10th, ends up in 3rd. Great run for Corey onto the podium in the number 14. Nikita Johnson in 4th spot. Garcia gets 5th. Douglas 6th. Gardner 7th. Garcia Arces ends up in 8th. Ethan Ho and Al Morey from 17th up to 10th. A great job for Al Morey there. How about Simon Sykes finishing 18th? He will gain maybe 1 point on Lockie Hughes after that contact in turn number 2.
Yeah, I think it was a late call from the crew to probably bring Simon Sykes in because they didn't want him at risk, knowing that car was going to be a handful without the rear wing.
Or was it a drive-through penalty? I wonder if they may
too.
have looked at that as incident responsibility as he was kind of coming across there in the contact. So either a call to come into the pits or potentially a penalty, drive-through penalty for Simon Sykes. We'll find out for you when we can. But the bottom line is this. We had ourselves a battle at the very end. Matt Clark, who was able to assume the lead after the contact, was aggressively attacked by Papa Savas, who won yesterday. And I talked about the fact the confidence was there. He knows how good it is. He ends up finishing second, but not without a valiant effort.
Oh, yeah, no question at all. And Sam Corey, really the guy who made up the most ground here after starting down in the order, started in 10th position, put himself up on the box.
Yeah, that's a big run for Sam Corey. He 100% needed that for sure. For him to be able to get up and work with it, and to go by his teammate Nikita Johnson as well. Nikita, of course, kind of leading that team in terms of the points and his results. A big finish for him. Outside the top 10, Thomas Schrag, who started at the tail of the field in the 21st spot, ends up working his way up into 11th, so a 10-position improvement for Schrag. Maxwell Jameson 12th, Brady Golden 13th, Carson Etter 14th, and Gordon Scully rounding out the 15 drivers. Tuchelski ends up in 16th, Towns in 17th. Sykes, as we said, did not get the last lap in. He ends up in 18th ahead of Lockie Hughes. It's just, this championship just keeps, and Sykes been able to get away and been able to finish that lap. He ends up getting massive points. It ends up being like probably a 1 point change. Unbelievable.
Yeah, exactly right. It just turns out that with that battle between he and Lockie Hughes, they finish 18th and 19th, basically. So it won't have that much impact on the points battle.
Unbelievable, for sure. Drivers will work their way in now here into victory lane. Jeremy Shaw's going to take care of that for me, so I'll be able to hang up here with you because we do have our USF Pro 2000 drivers getting ready to roll out. I believe we'll start the driver command for that in about 5 minutes' time. So there's Matt Clark working his way in. A big victory for him, as I had said before. It's Canada Day, and the driver from Milton, Ontario, is going to be hoisting up that Canadian flag when he gets on the podium. Big victory for Mac here, having won on the oval at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park. And again, there's Danny Anderson coming in for the handshake, Ernesto Martinez as well from D-Force Racing. This is huge for Matt Clark to get him back in the championship. And not only simply because he gets the victory, but the two guys he was chasing end up finishing back in 18th and 19th. Massive, massive championship implications for that incident over in turn number 2.
Yeah, exactly right. And the teams are going to have to rebuild those cars as well. We've got one more race to go for these drivers later in the day.
There's James Hinchcliffe rolling down. And again, we'll look to get things underway. We're about 5 minutes away, as we said, folks, from the driver introductions for the Pro 2000 category. So we'll try to stick with the victory lane celebrations as long as we can. We'll have to cut away sooner or later to give you the driver introductions. But Clark coming over to get weighed in, as all the drivers do after their races. But yeah, see James Hinchcliffe coming down there, a mentor for Matt Clark, and a big victory here at Mid-Ohio for him. Only 5.5 hours away from home, and then he goes to Toronto, his home race in a couple of weeks. So big one there for Matt Clark.
And, Rob, you're talking about the end of that race with Matt Clark. He's got to give a lot of kudos to Papasavos as well. As they came through turn 9, Papasavos had a quick look to the inside and had his nose right up under that gearbox. Could have made contact, backed out of it, and just let Matt Clark get away.
You know, Steve, that's one of the things we really hope for out of our drivers here is as they get, through the driver development program and get more mature, they realize that there are opportunities to take and there's opportunities maybe to let go. Because Papasavas, who is in the top 5 of the championship fight as well, no need for him to throw that away, knowing that, again, like Clark, the guys he's chasing just finished back outside the top 15. Be smart, bring it home, and I'm telling you that the top of this championship battle is tightened up. I thought it was going to be a fight between Sykes and Lockie Hughes. This right here changes everything.
Absolutely, it changes everything.
It really does.
Yeah. As they came into the weekend, there was only 3 points between the two of them after the first race. Sykes takes over the points lead, but they have just lost a bunch of ground. Nikita Johnson, Matt Clark, all in a position to pick up some ground, as is Papasavas. So, this championship is getting more and more exciting as the weekend goes on.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. This is a crazy one for sure. And again, this is how we like it. We want to get down to Portland on Labor Day weekend and see that final race be the decider to see who wins the championship and that big money to make that move up into the USF Pro 2000 category next year. That's the key. The scholarship for the drivers, the Discount Tire Scholarship Program. If you win USF 2000, it's $433,200 to make the jump into USF Pro 2000 in 2024. And indeed, we will go local down on pit lane and victory lane here as we are set to go. Our Pro 2000 drivers have rolled out here onto the grid. So again, we are essentially ready to get things rolling here, I believe. Again, as I said, we'll get underway with the driver introductions, folks. We're getting ready to roll here. So as we fire things up, again, a couple minutes away from going, the command to fire engines here set to go at about 11:50, so we're about 5 minutes away to fire up these drivers. So let's have a look at the grid as we have 20 racers here in USF Pro 2000. Lindsey Brewer in the number 93 C4 Smart Energy Machine for Exclusive Autosport will start at the tail of the field in the 20th position. She'll start alongside the Brazilian Nicolas Monteiro in the Neotech number 81. Row number 9, on the outside will be Ricardo Escoto, the Mexican, in the number 4 for Jay Howard Driver Development. He'll start 18th. And on the inside, the number 19 of Jordan Missig for Pabst Racing, starting in the 17th spot. Up now into row number 8 on the outside, Jackson Lee at Avon, Indiana for Turn 3 Motorsports. Lee in the number 47, starting 16th. And on the inside, the Illinois driver Christian Weir for TJ Speed in the number 32. He'll roll off from 15th. Row number 7 will have Francesco Pizzi, the Italian, for TJ Speed in number 55, starting 14th. And on the inside, the Irishman. It'll be Jonathan Brown for Turn 3 Motorsports in the number 13. Moving up to row number 6, the Indian-American Yuvan Sooner-Murthy out of Wisconsin for Exclusive Autosport in the number 90. He's going to start in the 12th spot. And on the inside driver in only his second weekend here in USF Pro 2000, the Quebec, Canada driver Lucas Saint-Jean for Turn 3 Motorsports in the number 3, starting in 11th. We'll go now into the top 10. On the outside, it will be the number 10, the German Liram Zendelli, F2 and F3 experience for this pilot. Great to have him here, a winner at Road America just a couple of weeks ago. The TJ Speed driver starting in the 10th spot. And on the inside, Jack William Miller, the number 40, looking for that first USF Pro Championships victory. The Miller Hereditary Motorsports driver, number 40, the red and white machine, will start in the 9th spot. Going now to row number 4 on the outside. The birthday boy, 19 years of age today. Happy birthday to Jace Denmark in the number 20, the Pabst Racing driver starting in the 8th spot. And on the inside, your point leader coming in for Force India and Pabst Racing, it is Miles Rowe in the number 99, starting 7th. He'll be pole for race number 2 this afternoon. So watch for him to have maybe a consistent race, try to get a couple of spots because he has such a good point lead right now. He can kind of coast a little bit and just post great results. Go to row number 3 now on the outside. Reese Usajima, the American for Jay Howard Driver Development, starting in the number 6 spot in the number 6 machine. And alongside him, driving the number 7 for D-Force Racing, it's Bajoy Garg, the Californian, starting P5. On row number 2, it'll be all exclusive Autosport, Mexico and Sweden. On the outside, Salvador de Alba, the Mexican, in the number 91, a winner at the Freedom 90 at IRP back at the end of May. And the driver starting on the inside of that row from Sweden in the Corpay number 92 for exclusive Autosport, Joel Grandforce, a winner earlier this year on the road course at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 20 drivers set to go. 2 on the front row. Off pole will be the number 12, a former USF 2000 champion. In fact, our front row, both USF 2000 champions. Kiko Porto for D-Force Racing in the number 12. We'll start on the outside of the front row, and the driver who will roll them off and take them to the green flag, the reigning USF 2000 champion. You see the USF Pro Championships livery right there for Michael D. Orlando in the number 1. Little hashtag there. Great way to follow him online. Michael D. Orlando Official. Follow him on Instagram. All our drivers, of course, on social media. But D. Orlando, who has got a victory here, wants another one. He's had a rough start to the season, John. He got a victory at Road America, then an issue at the start. Wasn't able to even get the green in that race. He needs to come back, use his pace here now. Another win to potentially close the gap on Miles Row. Again, D. Orlando and Porto, row 1. Grandforce and De Alba on row number 2. Garg and Ushijima, row 3. Rowe and Denmark, row 4. Miller and Zendelli on row 5. Row 6 will have St. Jean and Sundaramurthy. Row 7, Brown and Pizzi. Row 8, Weir and Lee. Row 9, Missig and Escoto. And row 10, Montiero and Brewer. 20 cars, the biggest fields that we've had this year in probably a decade. And we are excited to get these guys rolling here.
We've got a few safety vehicles to get staged back into position. We got the blower truck headed up to, I'm guessing, the keyhole turn because we had some gravel drug out on the track as we had some cars off up there. And looks like they're going to take a little time here to get some of the debris off the racetrack before we grid these cars and get this race underway.
Yeah, I just got the text from the voice of race control for IndyCar, Jim Swintel, who has told me that we are standing by right now. He likes to count me down. And at this point here, we are a bit of a standby. So, again, we'll talk more about this program, this USF Pro Championships program. Again, folks, today we actually have our autograph sessions lined up, 1:30 over in the fan zone in the Midway, right where they had the IndyCar autograph session yesterday. We'll have our drivers there in USF 2000 at 1:30 this afternoon, 2 o'clock for USF Pro 2000. And we're excited today to welcome guests today from the Robot Academy. Since 2015, more than 500 children and their mentors have experienced an unforgettable day at the racetrack thanks to High Tide Boat Lifts and their nonprofit association. So great to have our High Tide Boat Lifts Kids on Track program here this week. And we've also got students we'd like to welcome from the University of Northwestern Ohio. Guests from the Discount Tire STEM program. We had a chance to kind of walk them through. We were at TJ Speed. They're getting a chance to talk to our tech director. So a really great opportunity to learn a ton about motorsports for the drivers here in our Discount Tire STEM program.
That's great. And also looking forward to the rest of the afternoon, of course, after we get this USF Pro 2000 race under our belts. Then we go into the first race of the weekend for the Porsche Sprint Challenge presented by Yokohama. They'll be taking the track at about 12:55. And then we go into qualifying mode for the Indy Next Championship as those drivers will be working their way to a starting grid position.
And so many of those drivers at Indy Next coming from our program from last year. Of course, Nolan Siegel, the most recent winner at Road America, is looking very strong here right now. Yeah, as well, you go all the way through the field, right? Hunter McElroy, Jacob Abel. You just keep going through the field of drivers that have come up through this USF Pro Championships. And I'll tell you, this field of 20, we're going to send a bunch of them into Indy next year, and that's really what our program is all about. This USF Pro Championships. Get the drivers out of the Skip Barber Formula Car School, out of karting, bring them into USF Juniors, develop them, teach them the ways all the way up through the ladder system so that we can give them over to Indy Next so they will be the future stars of the NTT Indy Car Series. Once again, folks, Cooper Tire is proud to be the presenting sponsor of all 3 levels of the USF Pro Championships. Make sure to check out Cooper's all-new Discoverer Rugged Trek, the ultimate suburban cruiser. It's an all-season tire featuring an aggressive tread design that delivers excellent traction and comfort on concrete. For more information, visit coopertire.com and follow them on Twitter and Instagram at Team Cooper Tire. Now, this is the interesting thing. I like to talk about this a bit. These guys roll out. They know what's happening. T-minus 3 minutes. We're going to get out here. We're going to fire the engines up. And then it happens sometimes where you have a hold. The track, as you said, needs to get cleaned up a little bit. That's now the mindset for these drivers. They've got to kind of calm themselves down, relax a bit, and then we'll give them, the 1 minute sign. They got to get back at it again. Driving's one thing, right? The physical driving itself, the mental game is such a huge part of success at this level.
Oh, sure, absolutely. And, it just breaks your rhythm. The drivers, geared up, ready to go, and then, they got to depressurize for a bit, take a deep breath, get ready to go, and then on a moment's notice, get keyed up once again to follow the safety car around. Rusty, do you have any view on the cleanup in your area?
Yeah, they're really, other than just sending the track blowers, just sort of a track inspection, there's blowing some of the dust off the track here. That's all we have. There really isn't any other cleanup to do out here.
Oh, that's great to see.
Sounds
Tom,
good.
Tom, anything in your view?
Yeah, we've got the sweeper truck, and we've got the brush truck as well, making its way around and passing each other, as a matter of fact.
A little side-by-side action.
I think the drivers will be happy with, man. Give me a clean racetrack any day over some marbles, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly a pass. It was like on a two-lane road, but everybody got through there okay, and now the brush truck is coming up over the top of 6, getting things cleaned up here. That's going to pull in behind the guardrail, and we should be ready to go here pretty soon.
You saw the logo for Elite Engines on the back of Peetsy's car. There's Weir's as well. Elite Engines, Steve and Logan Knapp, and building all the engines for the USF Pro Championships. Another one of our great partners is VP Racing Fuels. They are the exclusive fuel supplier for all 3 levels of the USF Pro Championships. In 2021, VP expanded their role and became the official lubricant and coolant of the series as well. In addition to VP Racing engine oil and VP Racing gear oil, this includes VP Racing's new line of Stay Frosty Performance Engine Coolants. That's one of the things, John, anytime you see this of all the different series that come in here, to be able to have a program like that, you have to have valuable partners. We've been thrilled to work so closely with Cooper Tires over many, many years as this track, Mid-Ohio. There's Cooper Tire signage all over, the facility just nearby Findlay. So
we're in the Cooper Tires press team.
We are. That's exactly that.
Yep.
Drivers, again, getting set to go. There's Ricardo Scotto getting ready to roll, as we said. There's Nicholas Monteiro as well, the Neotech machine. It's a single-car effort that rolled into the program here this year. Nick's had some good speed and has really been getting better and better throughout the program. And then here's Lindsay Brewer here. And every time we go somewhere, we love to see Lindsay. She gets faster and faster every time we go. She's been in the gym hardcore. We did a Q&A yesterday at the Cooper Tire Stage, and we talked about that to all the drivers, about how fitness is so key. Every level you go up, every driver thinks they're fit enough, but they normally aren't. You know what I mean? So you got to keep hitting the gym all the time.
Yeah, exactly right. And these cars get more physical the farther up the ladder you go. I mean, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of having to be physically fit, especially upper body strength for a lot of these drivers, as these cars generate a lot of G-forces, and they've got to be able to keep the hands on the wheel, keep that car under control, and for the full length of the race. It's one thing to go out and do 1 or 2 laps, but to do, qualifying laps, lap after lap after lap in race conditions, not only is it exhausting physically, but it's exhausting mentally as well. So the drivers really have to work on their endurance in all forms. These are athletes, make no doubt about it.
Yeah, 100%. When we talked about running the oval at IRP, that is, 75 laps for USF 2000, 90 laps for the drivers in Pro 2000, and you never rest at all in that oval. And it is 100% focus for 90 laps for the drivers here in Pro. It is, it's fantastic. All right, folks, we're getting set to go to get things underway. I've been given the call from race control that we can fire things up. So let's head down to pit lane to give us the call to fire the engines here today for this race. Cooper Tire Girl, and let's get things rolling.
On behalf of Cooper Tires, drivers, start your engines.
So there you go. I was told we were going to get the Cooper Tire girls. We ended up with 1, so that's fantastic. We're underway. Engines have fired, and we are getting ready to roll. And again, let's get back to what I talked about there, John. Now it's the drivers. They've been sitting there. They've been relaxing.
Yep.
Now they have to focus again. They got the engines fired up, and that always feels good. You get the engines going again, but you want to start getting that air rushing through a little bit. They love it when you roll it onto the track. But right now, it's reset that mind, get focused on back what you're doing. We had a bit of a gap, a little time delay. Time to get back at it.
Exactly. Now it's time to go to work as these drivers getting themselves warmed up. The safety car pulls away at the front of the field, and under the bridge. Once again, for those of you perhaps just joining us on the stream, welcome to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. It's an overcast day, but touch wood, no rain yet. We had some overnight rains as they're. And so those of you joining us on the stream, my name's John Phippen, of course, alongside longtime series announcer Rob Howden. But there are three other voices you'll hear on the call, and we will introduce them to you as they work their way around the track behind the safety car.
And those of you around the racetrack right now, just so you know, if you want to watch this race, you can go to the USF Pro Championships YouTube channel, or as we always say, if you want to follow the action, download the free USF Pro Championships app at the Apple Store for iPhones or Google Play for Android mobile phones and tablets. Great opportunity. Watch all the action, all the live timing. Download the app.
Rusty Bell has the cars in his view. He's out on the back straight.
We are watching the cars now. They come around turn one. We pick up the cars around that newly paved turn one, highest speed corner on the track, up into the keyhole turn, which is a 180-degree off-camber corner, down onto the back straightaway, 3,000 feet with a little kink in the middle, and we are just past the kink, about two-thirds of the way around the back straightaway, and then they make their way into that best passing area down into turn four, leading into the S's.
And that's been a busy spot already this weekend. Tom Michaels.
Oh, indeed it has. And despite the fact that we've got overcast skies, we've got a great crowd here in the S's as always, as we wait and watch as the cars make their way off 4 into 5. That turn 4 is a right-hander up a little bit of a hill into the left-hander at turn number 5. Now we're going to crest the hill, go down, and make the right-hand turn at turn number 6, then 7 and 8, and that gets them to the back part of the race course.
That's where they come into the view of Steve Conley.
And they are coming into my view right now as the field is making its way through turn number 9, as where the cars will come dive into 9 under braking and try to get as close as they can to that red and white curbing. But as we've seen today, that curbing can be dangerous. If you catch it too much and too long, it's going to loop these cars around. Now off the exit of turn 9, that hill has caused a lot of drivers a lot of problems as they head down into Thunder Valley.
So many different storylines for the drivers coming out here. This first of 2 races here, the Cooper Tires Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio for USF Pro 2000. All these drivers chasing Miles Rowe in the championship fight. Michael D'Orlando from the pole needs a big race win. They're lining themselves up into the final quarter, into the start box, and we are green, green, green. D'Orlando with a solid jump coming down under the Cooper Tire Bridge into turn number 1. Kiko Porto will slide over from his right to left to get in there right on the gearbox as they work their way out of 1 up into turn number 2. You'll see them fan out, and unlike USF 2000, no dust up in the gravel trap at all. Everybody clean and green through turn number 1. Low line down the bottom. D'Orlando will cover off the inside. One driver locking it up further back, but otherwise the battle sees Joel Grandforce on the outside. He's trying to get a run. He moves to the inside as well. Grandforce alongside his teammate Salvador and D'Alba. Rusty, they're coming to you.
3 wide coming to me right now. They're still 2 wide in front. Grandforth trying to get there. Tom, they're coming at you.
Yep, it is 2 wide for second and third right now. Cars touch. 1 car, 2 cars go off, but get back on. But one of them comes back on right in front of another car. That is the car of Kiko Porto. Now we've got 1, 2 more cars that have spun here. Kiko Porto winds up in a situation there, has been able to continue on, but we've got the 55 of BC, and we've got the 19 car here as well. That's Jordan Missig, and they are sitting here stuck right now. 1 car appears to not have power. The other one is high-centered on the curbing to the outside of turn 5.
Yeah, so much collateral damage there. Obviously, we saw the contact, Kiko Porto going off and trying to get back onto the racetrack. When he did, right in the middle, of course, the remainder of the field streaming through turn number 5. Right. He actually checked up on, I believe it was Jonathan Brown in the number 2 turn 3 motorsport car that got into the back of him. So Brown, as he comes by me here, I actually don't see really any damage. The crew going out to have a look at it there as well. I don't know that Brown has any damage. They'll work their way through. We do have drivers who have had some issues, as we said. Pizzi, Jordan Missig as well, Kiko Porto all involved. So 3 drivers, we think, with an issue on track right now as we're watching them work their way to turn number 1 over to turn number 2. We're going to give you another look at this, folks, as they came down into turn number 4. We all know opening time down into that straightaway is aggressive. Watch further back as they're side by side. Right there for second. A little bit of contact between, I believe, Grand Force. Grand Force getting rolling up there. No, that was actually De Alba. Grand Force has to come back on as well. He falls down a couple. You can see sliding right up front. And there's that contact with Jonathan Brown. Really nowhere to go, John.
Yeah, and Kiko Porto didn't make it all the way around. In fact, he's up at turn 9. We're getting another replay from another view here. As you can see, Porto really had nowhere to go. Once he got off on the grass, he really couldn't control the car, and he got right up there in front of traffic. I don't think he pulled in front of them intentionally. It was just the momentum carried him there, and then two other cars got caught up behind.
Yeah, and the end, like I said, was collateral damage, right?
Sure.
That just kept happening. Everybody was checking up. More drivers check up. Someone got into the back of Jordan Missing. That looped him around a little bit as well. Pizzi was involved. Pizzi goes to the tail of the field. So right now it's Pizzi, Missing, and Porto all out of this race right now. The AMR IndyCar safety crew heading down to the scene to get things underway there as well.
Let's go out to Steve. You've got Porto in front of you.
Yeah, Porto's just, as he came through turn number 8, he wasn't rolling very slowly. You could hear him stepping on the throttle, but the car wasn't going. And now as he stopped right here in front of me, that car is shut off.
You wonder from the contact from behind Jonathan
Gearbox
Brown,
damage.
some kind of a gearbox, kind of a gearbox linkage issue, issue with the gearbox. Just said the engine rolling, but just not able to go anywhere. Tough one for Kiko Porto because, again, I'm telling you, this has been the weirdest day in terms of the championship chase. You know, Kiko Porto comes in sitting second place in the points, started on the outside of the front row, and his mindset, I just got to get out of here with D. Orlando. I got to see if I can't win, especially with Miles Rowe being down the order. He's 8th right now for Miles Rowe. This was an opportunity for Porto to close up. He ends up getting contact with Salvador de Alba coming down through turn number 4. Both those drivers trying to get out of the outside of turn number 4, that opening circuit. And he finds himself again, as we said, coming back across the racetrack. Joe Grandforce, one of the ones that had to kind of check up a little bit there. He went off a bit. We saw the contact with Jonathan Brown, Pizzi, Porto, Missing, the ones that are out now. I guess the big movers here are number 1, De Alba, and number 2, Risu Sujima. Started 6th. He finds himself up into 3rd right now. So the Jay Howard driver development pilot, very happy there. How about as well, Jace Denmark started 8th. He's up into 4th. The driver celebrating his 19th birthday at Scottsdale, Arizona. Jack William Miller, P5. So it's D. Orlando, De Alba, Ushijima, Denmark, and Miller top 5. Grand Force 6th, Garg 7th, Miles Rowe 8th, Lucas St. Jean in the 9th spot, and 10th is Yuvan Sundaram, the up 2 spots.
And Pizzi was able to get rolling again and did not lose a lap. He is hustling right now. Here he comes through turn 11. He'll be able to catch up to the back of the field, but when he came by the first time, he's got some damage on that rear wing, which may alter the handling on that car as he comes onto the front straightaway. We'll get a view of it, but the end plate on the rear wing is bent, so that's going to change things just a little bit for Pizzi. He'll have to be careful.
Steve, you got an update for us on Kiko Porto?
Yeah, Porto ended up climbing out of the car and jumped into the AMR safety vehicles, and he is away, but now they're getting everything tied up. Unfortunately, they could not get that car refired, and Porto is on his way probably for a trip to the infield care center.
Wow. That is just huge, as I said, for the championship implications, as he was second place in points coming in. I believe, no, third place in points. Pizzi was second. So there's Pizzi. The driver's got going again. He is actually still on the lead lap, which is key for Pizzi. He was second place coming in, but just 2 points behind him was Kiko Porto. So there's a lot of guys that were in the fight here. And again, we talked about this about Miles Rowe, right? He's got all those big wins at the start of the season. He's been consistent but not a dominant driver. He hasn't won since then, but he's just being smart. Everybody else is kind of falling by the wayside right now. They just nobody has been able to put together a body of work that can challenge him and this massive point lead he has.
And we're only halfway through the season, so there's a lot of racing left to go.
Yeah, Toronto, Circuit of the Americas in Austin, and Portland still to come for this category. So lots of racing for the drivers in the USF Pro class. And again, Michael D. Orlando, though, I expect decently happy, able to get out of the opening corners cleanly. He's fine. He's got De Alba right behind him, who is trying to get himself back up in the fight as well. Salvador De Alba, 5th place in points. His teammate Joel Grandforce in 4th. Grandforce running now 6th spot. And as I've said, anybody closing up on Rowe, all you got to do is finish in front of him.
Yep.
At least you're gaining some points. Now, the massive gap that he has right now is a large one, but all you want to do is always try to finish in front of Rowe. So right now, guys that are in that fight with him, because he's back in 8th with work to do for Miles Rowe.
Yeah, he'll be starting on the Rowe will be starting on the pole for race number 2 based on second qualifying yesterday. So.
And, John, he can have that in his head.
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm going to be up front in the race this afternoon. I don't need a massive result here, even a top 10.
I've got a 48-point lead. I can afford to, come home mid back if I have to.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly
that. Big. So again, this is kind of the maturation we've seen out of Miles Rowe, kind of a raw rookie a couple years ago in USF 2000, a single car team with Force Indy. They elected to move him over to the juggernaut, which is Pabst Racing. Last season, he battled it out for a championship between Michael D'Orlando and his Pabst Racing teammate Jace Denmark. The three of them went at it, hammer and tong, at the finale at Portland. And in fact, both Denmark and Rowe contact with each other. They really essentially struggled to try to get the points they needed. And coming out of the fiery inferno was D'Orlando with the championship. He was third going in. He ends up with a long shot championship. But I think Miles Rowe has shown what he has. The talent is there, the skill is there, the focus is there, and that early season success has really put him in a fantastic spot here going into the second half of the season.
And he's a great story as well because, he didn't have the funding to go racing, and, he caught the attention of the folks at Penske and Force Indy. Were able to come on board and fund him for a full season here. And so that's a great story that Miles Rowe's been able to, chase his dream and show his talents where he ordinarily might not have been able to just because of funding issues.
Yeah, fantastic young man as well. So the full package for Miles Rowe. He is a great kid, indeed, and we're thrilled to have him as part of our program. And I would be willing to say you're going to see him in the Indy Next program next year, regardless if he wins the championship or not. He's lined up to move, I believe, to Indy Next, and he definitely has the speed to do it. So Miles Rowe currently running in that 8th spot. Michael D'Orlando will look to see if he can't take advantage of this early incident to jet away. Again, this race 30 laps long, and that's one of the things we talked early about the fitness side for this program. And you go from USF 2000 up into USF Pro, and I'll tell you, it's a beast of a race car. It's got 70 more horsepower, more downforce, more braking, more everything. It's just tougher on you, and these drivers have got to be in the gym like crazy. For them, the next level of fitness, and then to go 30 laps here is a long run at what is likely, and they'll tell you, the most physical racetrack on the circuit.
Absolutely right, and especially on a hot day. The temperature is just tickling 80 degrees right now, 79 degrees being shown here. It's going to be an issue, and we just looked at the weather radar, and the same thing that happened last weekend. The big front of car, it's raining in like hammer and tongs in Dayton, and by the time it gets to us, it's just gradually breaking up. The clouds are going away, so it still looks pretty gray off to the west. That usually indicates there's some rain on the horizon, but we've seen it. It just kind of a weird meteorological thing, but look at the last look at the radar, the front that's coming through has broken up, and it looks like we might skate by without any rain this afternoon.
We'll see how it plays out.
I am not a meteorologist, nor do I play one on TV, so I can just tell you that's my guess.
There's John's disclaimer right there.
Exactly right.
Don't be sending him a tweet later on today.
Yeah. Don't put your rain tires back in the truck just yet. Yeah.
So one more time around, I believe, here as our drivers continue to circulate on the racetrack here. They'll put lap number 4 in the books now. We'll go lap 5, so it'll be 25 laps still to go when we come back around here. So, indeed, D'Orlando, De Alba, Ushijima, Denmark, and Miller, the top 5. Grand Force in 6th, Garg 7th, Rowe 8th, St. Jean 9th, and Sundermurthy rounding out the top 10. We've got Turn 3 Motorsports leading, Exclusive Autosports second, Jay Howard third, 4th Pabst Racing, 5th Miller Vinatieri Motorsports. 5 different teams in the top 5, and we talk a lot about the parity and the quality of the teams we have here in the USF Pro Championships presented by Cooper Tires. Thrilled to have them. And again, folks, if you want to meet these drivers, I mentioned it during USF 2000. We have our autograph session. The USF Pro 2000 drivers, their autograph session over in the fan zone in the Midway. Same location as the IndyCar autograph session from yesterday. 2 o'clock for the USF Pro 2000 drivers, 1:30 for USF 2000. All our drivers will be over there to get things underway. Being told that Turn 9 now clear, so we're going to be able to go back to green, I believe, this next time by. The car's just coming out of Thunder Valley right now with Kiko Porto, so they'll try to work that. They'll probably bring that car all the way back here into the paddock as well. And we have a long way to go. I would think that we're going to be able to go back to green this time by. That truck will get into the pit lane in time. Do want to mention as well, talk about Skip Barber a little bit. Those are the drivers that we've got coming into our program. Skip Barber and their racing school is the official racing school of the USF Pro Championships, and they're inviting drivers to compete for over $500,000 in prizes, including a $100,000 scholarship for the series champion to enter USF Juniors. The 8-weekend, 16-race series will take place at the most iconic tracks in America with high visibility and a pro race atmosphere. The Skip Barber Formula car features a 160 horsepower turbo engine, paddle shift 6-speed transmission, and Goodyear Eagle racing slicks. You'll have a professional crew, expert instruction, video and data analysis, hospitality, and more. Sign up today at skipbarber.com. The pace car lights are out. The final AMR IndyCar safety crew going through turn number 1. They're going to duck in there as well. I believe we're going to go potentially green flag racing this time by. Indeed, pace car is in. Drivers will line things up. Michael D'Orlando will be the leader as they roll out, and he is already on the lap pedal. We're back to green flag racing as D'Alba, seeing if he can't chase after Michael D'Orlando, rolling through turn number 1.
Jace Denmark looking racy right on the back of Ushijima, Rusty.
All single file right now, a little calmer than they were the first time around here as we get the restart up into the keyhole turn, but a challenge back there and a block, a little defensive driving going on for that third spot with Jace Denmark and Ushijima as they make their way onto the straightaway. We'll catch that. They may have just been setting themselves up here for a pass at the top end, and here they come. The 20 car on the inside. Denmark trying to get around Ushijima. Side by side, going to make it 3 wide.
It is 3 wide as they come down. 2 cars come around that blue and black car, the number 6 car there of Ushijima. He loses 2 spots. Leader continues to be Michael D'Orlando.
D'Orlando down through turn number 8, down into turn number 9, about a car length up on D'Alba. But that battle for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th is tight, nose to tail, all the way back through the field as they head through Thunder Valley and back up towards the carousel.
Yeah, I think Ushijima thought better of there and said, I'm on the outside of this. It's getting ugly. He kind of checked up and pulled out of it. Yeah, he lost a couple of spots, but he's going to get an opportunity to keep going. As one driver's coming into pit lane. We have a driver in pit lane. I think is that D'Alba?
I think so.
Indeed, Salvador D'Alba has come into pit lane. I'll see what happens as he comes by. Looking to see if there's any damage on the car. I don't see it. I wonder whether or not they're going to call potentially, is it a drive-through penalty? Because he's rolling his way up pit lane right now.
That's exactly
it's going to be a drive-through penalty for Salvador D'Alba. So whatever happened in the opening lap, they are going to give him the penalty for likely the contact then with Porto. So incident responsibility for D'Alba. He rolls into pit lane, and he will be crossing his fingers for another yellow flag to get back at it here because he is in championship contention as well. D'Orlando, your leader. Denmark, that puts him up to 2nd. So how about Denmark goes by 2 drivers, goes to 3rd. It ends up being 2nd. The birthday boy up into P2 right now. So Denmark there, Jack William Miller, he's into 3rd. But guys, he's the one that's leading them up. Steve, they're going to come into you. Watch that battle right now for 3rd on back.
And looking for that as they crest the hill in turn number 8. It is Miller with Ushijima right on the rear deck as he jumps the curb there in turn number 9, but keeps it under him. And they will head up to turn number 11. Stay single file, nothing doing for Ushijima.
Yeah, a lot of action here as drivers finally settling in. We talk about the first couple of laps after a restart being hectic. These drivers settling in nicely, single file. Now you can kind of go to work on the driver in front of you. But Michael D'Orlando, John, he needs this race win so badly to get himself back into the fight. Look where he is. He comes in here 11th spot in points. He's 94 points back. He needs to get 10, 15 points a race if he wants to get himself back in the fight to win the scholarship and battle it out with Miles Rowe, who currently runs 7th. The number 2 of Jonathan Brown back into pit lane. That wing damage finally coming loose, so he'll bring that car in. That moves more drivers up as well. It's going to give Salvador D'Alba a spot. But again, the championship battle, we talk about this. D'Orlando needs these races bad. He's going to start on the outside of Rowe for the race this afternoon. So 2 drivers who battled it out for USF 2000 supremacy last year are going to fight it out in the front row. But right now, D'Orlando doing everything he needs to do to get out front.
Yep, we still got that battle down for 3rd place. Jack William Miller is able to hold on to it as they came off of 4 into 5. Right on his rear deck, though, Reese Ushijima. Grand Four's right behind them.
D'Orlando continues to open it up here, but that battle for 3rd continues to be good as Ushijima takes a quick pick to the inside of turn 9. Nothing doing there. He'll fall back single file and lead that pack back up towards turn number 11.
Yeah, Joel Grandforce is the interested spectator right now. Is he not going to sit there P5 watching Ushijima get aggressive here, trying to see if he can't slide through. Grandforce again, 4th place in points coming in. So he is in front of Miles Rowe, which is all that is needed right now. Rowe running with Juven Sunder Worthy, the number 90, closing in on him. We'll look at the gap in pace. Yeah, Rowe was actually a couple of tenths of a second quicker that last time by. It's getting a little darker here trackside. The gap between Rowe and Sundermurthy, 7th and 8th, is about 4 tenths of a second. The gap, though, Rusty Bell, 1.4 seconds. D. Orlando was matched, though, on time by Denmark. Both those drivers laying down 120.7s.
Yeah, not seeing any change at that gap at the front. They're both consistent. They're pulling away, though, from that 40 machine of Miller. And right behind Miller, though, Ushijima not losing track at all. In fact, he's right in the wheel tracks going through turn 4.
Absolutely, as they come up over 5 once again, less than a car length separating Miller and Ushijima. And like this is back then to Grandport sitting there in 5th.
And that battle right there with Ushijima as he looks back in the rearview mirror, and he'll see that 5th place car of Joel Grandford's. He can look in the mirror and see him close enough to know the wheels are turning, try to find a spot to make a pass.
That's a good four-way battle for the final step on the podium. Jack William Miller's only podium so far has been on the oval at IRP, where he took a 3rd spot from the pole. So this would match his best finish of the season and his first road course podium if he's able to stay there.
I think one of the key things to mention here as well is the long distance of this race, right? They not even really to the 3rd way mark. We're 9 laps in. It's a 30-lap race, so we're, again, not even to the 1/3 mark here. And the drivers, how are they handling these cars? What are we going to do in terms of tire deg at the end of a longer run like this? Who's taking care of their tires a little bit? We know that Michael D. Orlando came in a little early in qualifying and maybe saved a couple of laps. Is that going to help him as much? Is Denmark potentially going to close up? The gap now 1.5 seconds between 1st and 2nd. D. Orlando doing a good job to stretch out. But this scrap, I'll tell you, Reese Ushijima, he wants to get back on the podium. He's got 1 podium finish on the year as well. He really wants to get on it. We are getting a call. Steve, out to you. Are you getting some rain out there?
I am. The raindrops have started to fall. We can, in fact, see some of the fans starting to maybe scurry for some umbrellas or even tarps covering up their camping areas as the leaders come by through us. The track will stay dry as long as we're running. It's not enough to lose the racetrack or do any damage, but it is here.
Yeah, at 80 degrees as well, that all the rain that does obviously fall is going to evaporate pretty quickly, especially with these drivers getting at it. But again, they get back around again. We're going to definitely, they'll see it on the visors. They'll know it's coming. And thankfully, this is the top level of our program. We've got drivers who have been in our series, for 4 to 5 years. So they've got a lot of experience. If the grip levels start going down, they're going to be able to handle it, because there's no need to go to rains until we have a deluge. So up front, these guys have to get the job done. And again, Denmark pushing hard. Last time by, though, he lost 0.3 of a second. I'll tell you, Rusty, I think Michael D. Orlando's car is starting to come in. The midway point still coming. 10 laps down, 20 to go, and D. Orlando now leading by 1.8 seconds.
He's looking good out front. That time Miller, though, with a big lockup, the 40 car, and he really didn't have much pressure, but he locked up going into the keyhole as he's trying to maintain the pace of those 2 cars in front.
Well, he's got a little bit more of an advantage now over Yakajima as they come into 5, now 6. 3 car lengths separating 3rd and 4th.
And we look back for that battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. A couple car lengths between Jack Miller and Ushijima. Closest battle back on the track looks to be back for about that 7th position with Miles Rowe.
Yeah, one of the other great fights as well, guys, is a little further back with Yuvan Sundermurthy, Lucas St. Jean, and Liram Zendelli. The final spots inside the top 10. I believe St. Jean able to get by, so he moves his way up into the 8th spot. He'll be the driver now trying to chase down Rowe. Had about 0.4 of a second on Sundermurthy last time by. We'll have a look at the gaps as they come by start-finish here with us. D. Orlando, Denmark, Miller, Ushijima, and Grand Force top 5. Garg, 0.6 of a second back in 7th. You go back over a second to Rowe, although St. Jean on the move right now. John, he was 0.4 of a second quicker than Rowe last time by, and he is on the gearbox already. Rusty Bell, you're going to see a battle here, I think, for P7 as Lucas St. Jean in the turn 3, number 3 machine putting on the pressure.
I see Ushijima getting close, and then that battle you're talking about here, it's a car length by me. Defensive driving being done right in front by Garge as they make their way down to the turn 4.
Yeah, Miles Rowe still in that 7th place position right behind him. St. Jean up over 5. The right-hander at 6. Less than a car length separating the battle now for 7th.
And that battle for 7th is about to go side by side. Taking a look to the inside of St. John, nothing there as he'll fall back in line. But behind Miles Rowe, they'll stay single file up through Thunder Valley and about another couple car lengths back to the 9th place running of Sundamaru.
Yeah, Lucas St. Jean, Steve, is a young Canadian who's making his second start here in the USF Pro 2000. Began the season in USF 2000. Had a rough run at Sebring. Didn't run the events in May in Indianapolis. Came back at Road America with Turn 3 Motorsports, and that team owner, Peter Dempsey, was very high on him after a pretty solid test. He looked very good at Road America, and he's running top 10 right now and actually going at it with the driver who is in the championship driver's seat right now. So Lucas St. Jean and that number 3 putting the pressure on Rowe. We'll see whether or not he's able to make the move. Right now, the gap behind them is where the scrap is. Zendelli, I believe, to the inside. He and Sooner Murthy are going at it, and that's going to bring Christian Weir, Jackson Lee, and maybe even Ricardo Escoto into the discussion.
10 cars side by side trying to get there. Zendelli is right there trying to make that move. Looked like he made it stick, Tom.
Looks like it did, so we have a real good battle as you take a look back there from 10th on back. Meanwhile, the guys in front of him continue to pull away. D'Orlando and Jace Denmark, they're 1-2.
Yeah, you've been Sundar Murthy in a sandwich right now with a couple of TJ Speed drivers. That is Liram Zendelli and Christian Weir, and that is essentially 9th, 10th, and 11th. We're seeing a lot of great running. St. Jean falling back a little bit, having put the pressure on there early. We'll see if he's able to dial it back in as they come down into the carousel. Everyone low-lining into the corner to try to see if they can't hold those challengers at bay. We'll continue to watch this fight with Miles Rowe, who runs in that 7th spot. He's got himself a little bit more of a gap now. It's, again, almost a half a second as both he and St. Jean learning 1:19.8. And that's one of the key things. Again, this racetrack is tough. You can close up on a driver, but once you get right onto them, you have to make sure you're having a different line to get some air over the wing because, John, these long distance, the corners like the carousel, like the keyhole, man, you're right up in there. You get the aero wash, and you just have to deal with that understeer.
And these cars have more of it than the USF 2000
exactly
cars because they generate more downforce. That makes more aero wash tougher for the following car.
So you got to make that move when you come down into turn number 4. You really have to be able to set it up. You might even pull back a little bit coming through the keyhole. You don't need to be right on the gearbox. Give yourself a bit of room. And there's, wow, entry oversteer right there for, I believe,
Trouble, turn number 9. One car off into the gravel. That is the 6th car of Reese Usajama. He just hit that bump in turn number 8, lost the back end of the car, and looped it around, and he is stuck spinning the rear wheels in the gravel.
So trouble over there, as we said, into turn number 9 for Reese Usajima. Steve giving us the update there, so that could bring us out. If it is indeed in there, that could bring us out the full course yellow. We're not even to the halfway point. This was going to be a gift to Salvador de Alba. He would love to see the full course yellow come out. Not sure that we're going there yet. Steve, you got an update? Is the driver still in the gravel?
Yeah, Usajima, he is stuck. He is about halfway back in the gravel. He's facing the racetrack, but those rear wheels, as he stepped on the gas, did nothing but kick up gravel, and he is not moving.
No, 1.9 second lead for D'Orlando goes bye-bye. It is done. Denmark going to have another shot at him here, so we are restacking everything at the halfway point. They'll put lap 15 in the books when they come back around. So it'll be 15 down, 15 to go. Full course yellow. Ushijima off over in the 8-9 complex. That moves Grand Force up into 4th. Garg to 5th. Rowe goes to 6th. St. Jean 7th. Zendelli, Sundar Murthy, and Weir your top 10. But it's a gift for Salvador de Alba, who will get back right up in the line to see if he can't get himself a couple more spots.
It's deja vu all over again for our leader who had built up a big two-plus second lead. And Simon Sykes will be happy to tell you that he had a 6-second lead that disappeared with a full course yellow, and it got when it got much worse as he had contact with Lockie Hughes there up into the keyhole. Sykes ended up finishing all the way down the order. So D'Orlando is keeping his fingers crossed that he can get a clean restart and pull away from Jace Denmark once we get the restart here. But like you say, we've got half this race still to go.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing is you got a couple guys behind D'Orlando, Denmark, and Miller who are hungry for a race win here as well. Both those drivers trying to turn their seasons around with big wins. Denmark, as we said, celebrating his 19th birthday here today. So those drivers are going to be aggressive on the opening lap when we get back to green, as I had said. But this is huge for Salvador de Alba, even if all he's able to do is get a handful of spots here, because he knows he's got a car that can run up front. He's going to start 3rd, I believe, in the race this afternoon. So the pace is there for Salvador de Alba in the exclusive Autosport Archandel machine. the young Mexican who many times throughout the season has been with us here at a race, then flown all the way back home to Mexico to run in the NASCAR Mexico Series. So he's doing a lot of racing. I think he's working on flight number 38 or 39 already for the season. Guys, who's got an update up there for me?
Yeah, Ushijima has got the car refired, and he's gone, probably pulling back into the pit road. Looked like a little bit of damage on the left side of that car as he pulled away from me, but they'll get that checked out there in pit road. But we are clear. Little bit of debris from dirt and grass on the outside, but hopefully that shouldn't be any issue. Nobody should be racing out there.
Yes. I've got rain, though, here on the back straightaway. Rain coming down right now. It's still fairly light, but it is definitely coming down pretty good right now.
Why not? Let's just throw something else at this, right? Let's do it. Guys, just an update. Ushijima did stay out onto the racetrack, I think, trying to catch back up a little bit before maybe coming into pit lane to have a look at the car. He wanted to make sure he didn't go down a lap. So we're being told we got rain on the back straightaway.
Windshield wipers on the safety car.
Oh, there you go. Well, we don't have those on our open-wheel formula cars, sadly. So, of course, Race Control will be monitoring this situation very closely right now. D'Orlando, Denmark, Miller, Grand Force, and Garg, the top 5. 15 laps in. We'll go into the second half of the race here. And John, let's just throw this out there for those of you maybe watching at home who are new to the USF Pro Championships, new to competition here at Mid-Ohio. If running in the dry is tough here, running in the wet here, and I've done it myself, it is extremely difficult. This is a challenging track in the wet.
The word I've used and the drivers have told me is diabolical.
That's a good word.
This racetrack is a handful in the wet.
And I've already got somebody it's bit right now, and that's Ushijima, who's high-centered right now. He came through the keyhole turn, probably got in that damp track, and he is high-centered. So we're going to have to get the safety vehicle out to get him off the track right now.
And remember, those tires are probably pretty dirty as well, because he did not come into pit lane, didn't get a chance to really get them cleaned up. And indeed, the rain has arrived. We'd hoped it wasn't, but yeah, we see people on pit lane. The umbrellas are coming out. Drivers, of course, on the racetrack right now. And the track's starting to get a little darker, if you will. So drivers, of course, all getting a feel for it, trying to keep those tires heated up. 16 laps in. At this point, not sure what the call is from Race Control, whether or not there is an opportunity to make that move.
Francesco Pizzi, the first to dive into the pit lane. Are they doing a precautionary tire change here, trying to get the jump on the field? As that is the case. They are putting wet weather tires on Pizzi's car.
And why not, right? You're back in 15th position. He's second place in points. Roll the dice on it. Try to get yourself back into the fight.
Yep, absolutely.
So being told red flag coming in, so potentially. So we're going to see whether we got a red flag here at start finish. Yes, I see it being thrown here now. Red flag at start finish. There's Ushijima. We talked about him being off, coming out of the keyhole. He is high centered on that side of the racetrack. Very likely got onto the rumbles, the painted rumbles, and looped it around. The rain is now very apparent here trackside. So everyone's going to come in. We're going to be going to wets. And that will be the call. Right now, the first driver in, as we said, was Pizzi, but red flag, we'll see how that plays out. I think the crew, from what I can see here, the tech crew on pit lane has told the Pizzi team to stop working on the tires. So I'm sure they'll have to dial things in. Yeah. So again, folks, we are going to wets. Interesting for sure.
One of the things that Race Control is doing is, this is a precautionary step on the part of Race Control. The worst situation can be for a whole field of cars to be out there on dry weather tires. The rain comes in mid-race, and they have to, deal with that. So rather than put all of these cars and drivers at risk, Race Control makes the decision. We're going to bring them in, let everybody change to wets, and then go back out and finish.
So Patrick Steffen from Trackside Online coming in to give me a hand. He's obviously listening to Race Control. They're going to bring all the drivers, get them all into their pit stalls, and then at that point, a 5-minute time limit to get your tires changed, and we'll get back out onto the racetrack. And I would assume with Pizzi coming in early, they'll give him his lap back.
Sure.
Because he did come in, he could have put the tires on, they stopped it. So we'll see how that all plays out. So, indeed, we have rain. We thought it could potentially come. It has arrived, and we will see some wet weather action here. With at that point, when they come around, we'll put lap 17 in the book, so we'll have potentially 13 laps of wet weather racing. One thing, if you're trackside here, folks, and this is kind of a cool deal we've got going on with Cooper Tires, if you come over to the Cooper Tire compound, which is in the upper paddock, just come into the paddock, walk straight to the very, very top of the paddock. That's where Cooper Tires are taking care of the tires for all of our drivers here in the USF Pro Championship, drivers and teams. They are selling tires. You can, as a great souvenir, you can buy a tire, one of our used race tires, $10.
Yep.
That $10 goes to IndyCar Ministry. All the money goes to charity. So if you're looking for a cool souvenir to take home from the weekend, head on up to the very top of the paddock. $10 for a souvenir Cooper tire, a race tire.
Now I'm gonna play devil's advocate here, and Rusty Bell, you can join into this. Look to the west. We've got bright skies. This is a very brief shower, it appears, and there looks to be clear skies coming in from the west. Would you gamble and stay on slicks, Rusty Bell?
Yes.
Well, here's the thing, guys. I don't know
but I don't think they have a choice.
I don't think they have a choice. Exactly that. Now, this happened with us at Indianapolis already back in May on the road course. The rain came hard. Everybody came and they brought them in. You've got to put on your rain tires. Everybody comes and put rain tires on, and then it went dry.
Yeah.
So you can't really do enough to the cars to make them handle better. The setup, some drivers may have had setups that work better because we saw the two Jay Howard drivers, Ricardo Escoto and Risu Shijima, ended up coming away first and second.
Yeah.
They were nowhere in the dry. But in the wet / getting dry, they were able to come to the forefront. So everybody getting into their pit stalls here right now. Drivers were a little confused in terms of coming up to the front of the grid. We're getting these guys pushed back into their stalls. That way we'll be able to get them. So once everybody's actually in their stalls, then we'll release them. Now, this is the issue. If it's a short rain, this is going to be kind of sketchy. I don't know how we play this at this point here. We could have just waited it out, or, man, interesting for sure. Michael D'Orlando, regardless, will be your leader when they roll back out on track.
Exactly right. So it's all about the tire choice, and if race control mandates basically declares it a wet race, everybody has to go on wets. But if they give the teams any latitude, I'm with Rusty. I would gamble on staying on the dry tires, because we still got half this race to run, and I don't think we're going to have a downpour here in the next few minutes. So that's just a guess, but that certainly would add an interesting flavor to this one.
Hey, listen, you got to listen to the guys that are here week in and week out, John. You spent time here. You guys know the weather. You guys know what this track is like. I've been here in the wet before, of course, but indeed, if this is just a small cell, this is going to be – these guys are going to roll out here on these tires, and we're going to see them going essentially back to slicks once they rub all the tread off these things. So these are soft compound tires.
Yeah, that's the problem with wet weather tires. In addition to the grooves, which allow the tire to pump the water away, it's a very, very soft rubber compound, and if you run a wet weather tire on a dry track, it goes away in a hurry. You literally, it'll start to chunk. You have all kinds of issues. And so, it becomes an issue of you can't run a wet weather tire on a dry track, but if you're mandated to go out on wets, you'll have to make the best of it. Some guys may gamble and, come in, change back to slicks. I've been, called races here where that's been exactly the case, where everybody goes out on wets and then somebody makes the gamble, comes in early on slicks, loses a lot of time in the pit lane, but then, is a rocket ship compared to everybody else and works his way back toward the front. So it happens.
This will be interesting. Like I said, it depends on the setup you have in the car. If you're going out in the rain, the wet setup's going to be a lot different.
Of course,
you have the car set up much differently. So if your car maybe was leaning towards what would have been closer to a wet setup, you may find yourself with good pace here. So that's why things are going to be very interesting. I did get a call from Race Control, Jim Swintel, telling me indeed they're changing tires, as we said. We'll get them relined up and set back up at the front of the grid. So again, we'll take our time to get them all done here. Rains are going on. The rain light's getting on as well. So, again, I think for everybody here, they'd love to see the rain continue to come as opposed to kind of fade away, because that's going to make things very interesting here if indeed the rain does start to stop. So
this is challenging for the multi-car teams too, because they don't necessarily have a full complement of pit crew for each car. They share those duties. So the teams with multiple cars here, Exclusive's got 4 cars. Jay Howard's got multiple cars. They have to do the pit stops one at a time, and so that puts a little extra pressure, because I'm looking down here at Ushijima's car. He is still on slicks, and nobody's working on that car.
Yeah, they'll get there sooner or later. Obviously, the crew doing their best to get the car of Escoto done first, and they'll move their way over to Risu Shijima as well. So again, on a delay, red flag is done. We have 17 laps in the books, 13 laps still to go here in the Cooper Tires Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, the front end of the doubleheader for the drivers here in USF Pro 2000, presented by Cooper Tires. Michael D'Orlando had a lead of 1.2 seconds, but it is gone. D'Orlando, Denmark in second. Jack William Miller will line up third. Joel Grandforce in fourth. Bajoy Gard fifth. Miles Rowe in 6th spot, Lucas St. Jean in 7th, Liram Zendelli in 8th, Yuvan Sundermurthy and Christian Weir round out the top 10. Jackson Lee runs 11th, Ricardo Escoto in 12th, Lindsey Brewer 13th, Nicholas Monteiro 14th, and Salvador de Alba getting that the benefit. He is now 15th. Pizzi is lining up here 16th now, as he has not put the 17th lap in the book because he came into the pits early. We'll see how that plays out. Jonathan Brown is in the 17th spot. Risu Tsujima, as we know, trying to get him back on it, and Kiko Porto and Jordan Missing, the two drivers out. No laps issues on the opening lap for both those drivers. They'll have another race to go this afternoon.
And unfortunately, this is not Formula One. You can't have 19 guys working on the car and change 4 tires in 2 seconds. This is a little more the way you would change tires in your own garage, basically.
Exactly.
Pretty much one at a time. So it does take a little extra time. And we can see work being done on the car right here below us. They're loosening up that front suspension.
That's it.
You know, soften up the roll bars, give the car a little more lean. That is what a wet weather setup is all about. And some of the teams are taking the extra time to do that as well.
So I'm very interested here right now, John. Rusty, you're out there. Is there rain still on the back straightaway?
There is not.
Oh, no.
It stopped. Like we said, I wouldn't be on rains right now.
Wow.
I certainly, if you go on rains, I would leave the dry setup on the car for the moment because it's going to be dry here shortly.
Indeed. So we'll see how this plays out here, folks. Going to move to the wet weather tires and what potentially could be a drying racetrack at this point. Engines. Okay, there's Steve giving us an update. You still have rain in turn number 9. That's a sketchy part of this racetrack as they're rotating that car through turn number 9. So, listen, at the very least, John, as you know, even if half the track is going to be wet, at least you get a chance to cool those tires off a little bit. It's when they're running on a full dry track that the soft compound of a rain tire with the tread really just chews up nicely. So, again, wet in the back, dry at the front. This is going to be very interesting. Engines have fired back on pit lane. We said number of drivers making some changes to their race cars. Looks to me up and down the grid, most drivers, although I don't know, is Ushijima, is he still in the car?
He's in the car and on slicks. And they just made a tire pressure adjustment. He's 2 laps down, so I think a chance of him, getting into the way into the points is slim. But he'll be the canary in the coal mine because if he does come out on the dry weather tires and he is like lightning quick, that's going to be something for the teams to think about.
Yeah, this is I'd like to get an update here, whether or not you had to go to rains or if you could stay with slicks if that's what you wanted to do. I don't know what the call is at this point here. I would think you had to go to rains. I'll see if I can't get an update on that.
Sure.
But otherwise, drivers starting to line things up right now.
Yeah, they're getting lined up behind the safety car down at pit lane as everybody's got their rain lights on, the flashing red light at the back of the car. You think, well, why is that the case? Well, you'll see if we have significant wet weather. These rain tires kick up a huge amount of spray, and so visibility for these drivers gets down to 0 with all the spray kicking up by the other cars out on the track. So that flashing rain light is literally there, so the car has something the driver has something to see rather than plow into the back of somebody because the spray, hit his visibility. And Steve tells me the rain has stopped at turn 9 now.
And I just got the update, guys, from our race director, Joel Miller, that, yes, you have to change to rain tires. So you must go to the rains, and that's what we're getting down from the officials. I got more information coming in, but they're doing their best to get the drivers lined up there again. As I said, D'Orlando, Denmark, Miller, Grantforth, and Garg, top 5. Rowe, St. Jean, Zendelli, Sundermurthy, and Weir, 6 through 10. 11 through 15 is Jackson Lee, Ricardo Scotto, Lindsey Brewer. Then it's Nicholas Monteiro and Salvador de Alba. And then we'll see Pizzi as well. Jonathan Brown we expect to see. Risu Tsujima, Porto, and Missing, of course, we're done. So essentially what happens is once you've changed, I'm saying if you want to change back to slicks, you can do it after taking the green. So you have to go out right now on rain tires. If you want to come right back in and put on slicks, you can do that. But a 5-minute change is going to be what here?
Two or three laps.
2 or 3 laps, right? Yeah.
So Ushijima's car still sitting there. Their car still sitting there. They're sending the cars down to queue up behind the safety car in grid order. Salvatore de Alba has been done for a long time. He's the last car on the lead lap, and so he was having to wait. Let's go out to Steve with an update.
Yeah, it's, I'm sitting here watching the track. When it was raining just like 3 minutes ago, it was significantly dark. You could see where it was wet. But as this wind is blowing, the track, I think, is actually drying pretty quickly from any moisture that was on it.
Well, that's going to change things, folks. This will be very interesting. The rains, the treaded Cooper rain tires, obviously fantastic in damp weather. They don't work that good in when we're back to dry racing. Soft compound, a much less contact patch. It'll chew those treads off it pretty quickly.
Yep.
So this could be very interesting in how this kind of plays out. Michael D'Orlando, again, I feel bad for Michael. Mainly because the bad luck that he's had all year long, literally had this race essentially in hand, was cruising around, over a 2.5 lead, and then finds them now he's not even in a position where it's full wet that he can be fine and be good in the wet and pull away. No, it's going to be potentially a situation where if these tires do degrade very quickly, really everything's up for grabs at that point. But the drivers are pulling back onto the racetrack to get things underway. Again, 17 laps are done. When they come back around, we'll see lap number 18 roll. 12 laps remaining. And again, guys, this is going to be interesting all around this racetrack.
Usajima's crew is in conversation with the officials down here on pit lane. They have not made a move to change the tires on Reese's car, and they're in discussion with the officials to try to get a ruling. You know, he's already 2 laps down. Are they asking, can he just wait, let the field go by and get another lap down and then just go out on slicks? Yeah, that may be what they're negotiating right now. He's the only car on pit lane.
They would put him 3 laps down. Does he think he'd be fast enough for 3 laps down to catch back up with 12 to go?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Somehow I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Yeah. But again, this is the odd nature of what we have going on here right now. It's one of those deals where the track was wet, but maybe, but not too wet for slicks, because we saw drivers spin.
Right.
But again, it's tough. This place is, again, it's diabolical, as you said. I love that word to describe what it's like to drive here in the wet. It is not easy at all, but we are going to see what these drivers are able to do. We will go green this first time by, no doubt about that. D'Orlando, Denmark, Miller, Grand Force, and Garg. Top 5. Again, the point leader row in 6th spot. We'll see how this all plays out. 2nd and 3rd in points, Pizzi and Porto already out.
Rusty's already got one off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I've got one off coming onto the straightaway out of the keyhole turn. He's facing away from me. Could be high-centered.
I think that could be Lindsey Brewer potentially around.
Yep, looks like it.
Yeah, but safety team on its way, so we probably won't get the green this time by, as it'll take a moment for that safety vehicle to get up there and pull that car off of the curbing, so they're not high-centered.
Indeed, they'll work their way around here. That was, I believe, Lindsey Brewer has gone around. She was 13th. And again, think about that. The drivers are trying to kind of warm these tires up. Although it is still pretty warm out right now, 80 degrees, and there is some wet on the track. These tires still need to get some heat built into them here to get that maximum grip, right? And again, if it's not the toughest corner on this racetrack in the wet, the keyhole is so tough.
It's
downhill, off camber, like everything you don't want in the wet, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So they'll work their way back around. We will not go green this time by. Ideally, they'll be able to get the car of Lindsey Brewer rolling. She may go down a lap as they work their way out of turn number 13 and 14 right now. Right now, again, as I said, folks, 18 laps into what will be 30. We have a longer run here for this particular race as well. This is a 50-minute race, so there is still a little bit of time here rolling down. We actually, if you look at session time, we're within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So I got to look at that as well. So all the running around, the yellows that we've already had here now, we're literally down to potentially just 4. When we go back to green, what? 1 lap?
D'Orlando's crew sprinted down to Lindsey Brewer's crew and say, hey, why don't you spin off the keyhole and let's eat up a little more this time.
Oh, my goodness. So we are.
I'm joking. Of course, they would never do that, but it's still, we're going to get a replay here of Lindsey's spin. And
just get on the throttle.
She had stickers on to boot.
That's about as easy. Folks, we've all done it before. When you got tires like that, and then she obviously tried to get rolling again and then got herself high-centered.
Yep.
46 minutes rather on the clock. So
4 minutes.
Going to get a confirmation from race control that if we're on the clock now, I believe we are. That would mean about 4 minutes remaining. As we are 46-13 into the session time here now. all that work being done, of course, to get the tire, the 5-minute hold to get those tires changed was part of this. So we'll see how it plays out. Michael D'Orlando, again, the leader. Will this still play into his hand? Does he get an opportunity to potentially still get this? Indeed, we are on the clock. There is 3.5 minutes remaining. So if we go green this time by, which we probably will, we are looking essentially at one lap.
Yeah, one or maybe two. Yeah.
Maybe two.
Yeah.
Knowing how slow they are, just coming through 5, 6, and 7 right now, I would think that by the time they get back around, we're going to be looking very likely at 48. So lights out in the pace car, folks. Being told that we are set to go. You can see a shot there coming through turn number 8 over to turn number 9. Steve was telling us that it is still a bit damp over there. We watch, obviously, Lindsay coming and looping around, coming through there. So we know that the keyhole still has some dampness. So that means that this opening lap is still going to be quite sketchy. Denmark wants to win. Miller wants to win. D'Orlando needs the victory to get himself back into championship contention. They'll work their way to the top of the hill. Well, if we wanted an exciting finish, we got it. Essentially, I think it's going to be probably maybe a one-lap dash as we're 47:30, 2.5 minutes to go. We are green flag once again, and away we go. Rain tires on, and they'll rock their way into turn number 1. Who gets through cleanly? Miller pushing from behind. D'Orlando tries to hold. Do you run the rain line, or is the race line dry enough? They'll work their way back out as Jonathan Brown has come into pit lane. Over now to turn number 2, into the keyhole. A big wide line for D'Orlando. He's going to hold the spot. He'll work his way down. The battle, I think, right now for second. Denmark right there. Miller getting aggressive as they work their way out of the keyhole back to Rusty Bell.
Down the straightaway, everybody bunching up going into the keyhole turn, but everybody able to make it through turn 1 and the keyhole. But here comes the 40. Miller now on the outside is going to try to make it stick. He's got some momentum.
He's not going to be able to make it stick as he had to back off, coming down into 4. So we continue with D'Orlando, Denmark, Miller. Everybody getting through the turn 5 area okay. Leader up into turn 8.
Look to me like I think our point leader Rowe having some trouble. Some drivers making moves. Zendelli and St. Jean able to get by. Will we see the white flag, or is this the last lap? First time down into what we know is a more damp section of the racetrack through turn number 9 and into Thunder Valley. I don't know if we're going checker. I don't know if we're going white. There we go. So we are going to go white. One more lap around, a 2-lap dash to the end. So we'll get 21 in. 21 in the books. Here they come back around. Big lead for Michael D'Orlando. This guy needs this victory. D'Orlando, Denmark, Miller, and then Grand Force. Again, we'll watch to see what kind of aggression we can get out of Salvador de Alba. He's going to make a move to the inside of Monteiro further back. Watch this battle through turn number 1. Down to the bottom comes Salvador de Alba. He sends it to the inside. He'll get at least 3 spots here on the opening circuit. Back down, of course, into the keyhole again. The fight again for P2. Jack William Miller trying to get by Chase Denmark. Great battling further back as well. Rusty, a solid lead, though, 1.3 for Michael D'Orlando.
Chase Denmark got it crossed up at turn 1, so he lost his momentum, and he's lost that spot right now. And on the inside, it's Miller down to the inside at 4.
But once again, here comes Denmark. Denmark to the outside. Able to make the pass, coming through there, the number 20. Back up there into second place, Miller in third, but our leader continues to be D'Orlando.
Yeah, Miller just covered off the bottom as well, too, trying to hold off what is now a charging Joel Grand Force. It looks like D'Orlando's going to be able to run this thing to the end, but this final battle for second, third, and fourth, the last 2 spots on the podium, is pretty hectic. Denmark able to get back by Miller. Grand Force trying to get himself onto the podium as well. D'Orlando will crest the hill and back into the carousel. Looking good right now for the young driver to Hartsdale, New York. A big victory potentially coming for him out of the corner. And what was a wild race for sure, the win in race number 1 here at the Cooper Tires Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio goes to Michael D'Orlando. Massive win, 1 driver going around. We have a spinner in the carousel on the final circuit as well. Who is that? Might have been Jackson Lee going down the order. Yeah, Lee going down the order as well. What a shake-up as Sooner Murthy ends up going out a couple of spots. Miles Rowe outside the top 10. So exactly what D'Orlando could have been hoping for. De Alba battles his way up into 10th. Huge run for Salvador de Alba, but Michael D'Orlando with the win. Denmark in second, Miller in third, Joel Granforce comes home in fourth, Bajoy Garg 5th, Liram Zendelli in the 6th spot, St. Jean 7th, Weir, Escoto, and de Alba. I don't even know what to say about those last couple laps.
What more could you ask for?
Yeah,
You had a little bit of everything in this one.
It was a wild one for sure, but again, when you think about the championship, Michael D'Orlando, who got a win in the front end of the double-header, John, at Road America, but then had trouble in race number 2, this is exactly what he needed. Yeah. Another big point haul, especially when you look at the fact that Rowe all the way down in 11th. It's still not going to kill his point battle, right?
Sure.
Because to be honest, for Rowe, he's really battling out with Pizzi and Porto. He beat both of those drivers, so he actually extends his gap in the championship lead over Pizzi, who will likely still be in second, but we may actually see Grand Force, I think, could be into second in points right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Grand Force was only, about 5 or 6, maybe 8 points back of Pizzi. This is going to change things in a big way.
Yep.
We may see Grand Force go up into second, but there is your top 10. D'Orlando, Denmark, Miller, Grand Force, and Garg, Zendelli, St. Jean, Weir, Escoto, and De Alba. The top 10. Drivers will work their way into pit lane. It's time to go to victory lane, folks. Don't go anywhere if you're watching the feed. We'll be right back with the podium presentations.
Thanks to Rob Howden once again.
As we move past the halfway point of the 2023 USF Pro Championship season, there's no better way to get caught up on all the action than watching The Climb, our mini documentary brought to you by Discount Tire. The most recent episode now available, chronicling the events at Road America. What a weekend it was at America's National Park of Speed. The episode now available. Head to the YouTube channel, or you can also grab it on the USF Pro Championships app. Get up to speed on everything that happened at Elkhart Lake on The Climb. USF 2000 is kind of facing off right now, a Lockie Hughes versus Simon Sykes kind of scrap. You look at the USF Pro 2000 program, and man, Miles Rowe just getting it done.
Everyone's about to start going for it. It's about that time of year.
I learned in the first half, and now it's time to prove all that.
It's been back and forth between us. Nikita's been in there a good bit. It's the do or die year. I mean, it's all or nothing. If I win the championship, great. If not, I'm looking for a different career. So
my mission for the second half of the season is to win.
We're like any normal family. We just get shorter wait times because we buy and book online at discounttire.com.
So easy.
Which gives us more time for things like...
Come on, Mom.
Ready?
And it's all thanks to Kyle.
Get 30% shorter average wait time when you buy and book online at discounttire.com.
Let's get you taken care of.
It's your Uncle Cooper. Sure, once in a blue moon, you might need your tires for hauling a horse in a hailstorm. But most days, you're gonna need your tires for tougher things, like teaching your sister's kid how to parallel park. Thankfully, these Cooper and Duramaxes aren't just tough, they're everyday tough. Okay, there's a lot of improvement. Go with the Coopers. Cooper!